787.
787 departure frequency 15 will be 1257.
257, thanks.
Hey everybody, welcome back to SciFi And Friends, episode number 49. We're on the cusp of something great. We're on the cusp of episode 50, which, you know, any of you fans out there that listened to me last year, around the same time, I was like, I'm going to get 100 episodes by the end of the year. And I can do that with my vigorous schedule of 2 shows a week. Didn't happen. So we're only getting to 50. No problem. We're still figuring this out. It's just for fun. We're having a good time. But welcome to episode 49. I have probably my favorite guest. Not even probably. I have my favorite guest on.
Most likely.
We've been having podcasts since we could remember. Just haven't always recorded them. So it's always good to have on my brother, Casye Seifert.
Thanks for having me on.
Always. You're always welcome. It's always nice to have you on.
Good to see you.
In fact, I think I was looking through to find out what number today's episode was. I was going through SoundCloud looking for the whatever today's number was. And I think I bet you have at least 5, if not maybe 7 podcasts of 49 podcasts that I've done.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe closer to 10.
You might, I mean, that number crossed my mind, but I don't know.
I don't know, because there's been a few with guests, a couple solos like
Yep.
this.
Yep. 2 times with, no,
You just never know. Oh,
well, we should take a moment of silence. We were supposed to have a third gentleman with us tonight.
there was supposed to be a third. I saw a third in the email.
Yeah, it was, and it was confirmed. Everybody confirmed on Google Calendar.
Who was that?
His name was Corey Ball.
Oh,
And Mr. Ball did not show up today. We know his status is okay because we saw him tweet some game footage of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 22. He's been playing that. He's been working on his stream, except, you know what's holding him back? He's not commentating while he plays the game. He just plays the game. If he commentated, I think he'd kill.
if you're just going to play the game and not commentate, you better be
insanely good.
Yeah, another worldly level good to where it's like, I don't want to hear anybody talk. I just want to see the skills that you have.
Right.
Which is rarely the case.
Do you watch Twitch or anything like that?
I do YouTube videos, not really Twitch, just because I like usually I like the edited videos, not like just straight up gameplay, because that's what I'll do.
Like ARC type stuff? Like I'm talking, do you watch video games at all? Like streaming, or I know you probably do tutorials.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't stream all that often. ARC is so endless in the possibilities that I want to see the depth of what you can go. Or like I did this for a lot of my childhood video games, like Zelda on the Super. Never beat it. You'd beat this one boss and it'd take you to this other worldly thing. And
Were you the bunny?
I remember that.
It's like a shadow world or something.
But there, you beat this boss and then it goes like the upside down, and then you play like the second half of the game. And I don't know if we ever beat the boss, but anyway, I just went on there and watched it, and I got the fulfillment of beating it. Like, oh, that's what finally happens. And like the Pokemon games, if you don't want to play them and go to the Elite Four, and
Sounds awesome.
I know it does sound awesome,
so awesome.
but watching somebody else do it is pretty satisfying as well.
Yeah.
But that's usually, I'm kind of the type that like once you finish a game, you're probably never gonna play it again. Like campaign stuff.
Yeah. Final Fantasy X might be one that I would play again.
Well, like you finish Far Cry 3, I'm not gonna.
Oh, no.
I'm not gonna go through all that again. I got my experience.
Yeah.
You'll play a little bit whenever you have everything unlocked, and just go kill crazy, but that doesn't last.
No. Especially with a game like that. An open world game like that.
Yeah.
Where, man, that game was so awesome. Oh my God, that was so awesome.
But I haven't done gaming for a long while.
Yeah. I haven't either.
Can I turn these down a little bit?
Yeah, I think
the volume in mine.
If I do. Try it. Keep talking.
Well, I guess
I could keep talking.
Either of us.
Am I talking and it's going down for you?
I don't think it's doing anything. Okay, it just went up.
Okay, what about now?
Okay.
Well, that's turned down your mic, so I'll just turn down my mic a little bit. Is that better? Am I back in your head? Not too bad.
I guess. I don't know.
No, you're loud.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Might turn me up. That's a little
What do you
better,
think?
I guess.
That's a little bit. Yeah, that's a little bit less. I did that with Dino Crisis, where I watched all the cutscenes.
That was on PC?
I actually think it was PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
PS1.
And there was a Dino Crisis 2 and maybe 3?
Yeah, there were several after that. But it was one of those games where there's probably a term for it, but you played a level, and the camera just kind of barely moved back and forth. So you'd be like down here.
And there's levels.
Yeah, well,
sections
you
or
get to the
whatever,
door, and then the
load.
thing would go black,
Yeah.
and then the new
I know what you're talking
area
about.
would.
That was a fun game.
It was terrifying.
And pretty horrifying.
It was a dinosaur horror game. So you coming from like Jurassic Park as little kids, you're like, yeah, dinosaurs. And then you put in Dino Crisis, and you're on a remote island where there's body parts everywhere because the dinosaurs ripped them up.
I also loved how they could manipulate the scene of like, because it was pretty much like a backdrop on some of them. So if you were in like a city highway running from a T-Rex, you could start off from way far away in this picture and have this cartoon T-Rex following you.
And you're just stressed out the whole time.
And your characters just gradually grow to simulate like they're getting closer to you to the viewing angle, and then they run under you or something. So they could manipulate like which way you ran and stuff. God of War did that. God of War 1.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
You couldn't change your camera angle. Your camera angle was dependent on the progress through the level.
Well, yeah, it did. But when it changed, it didn't black out. It like jerked you, didn't it? Like, didn't it like swing around? Like, I'm thinking of the demo that we got.
Right.
We'd go into the ship and it would come into the ship, and then we'd get out of the ship and it'd be way out here.
That one had like cutscenes in it as far as when you finished a level.
Right.
It was a cutscene and not so much, and a save point, and then all of a sudden you wake up on the ship and you get off, and now you're on your next level or whatever.
Right.
But the camera angle is totally fixed to where you are in that level.
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
And if you don't finish and you're 80% of the way through and you turn around, it's gonna follow the same path. You know, if you crawl through a tight space and it gets up close to you, it's going to do that on the way back too, that same angle. Then you reverse it. It's going to stay. It's going to stay right with you.
Predetermined camera patterns.
And it was beautiful. It worked.
Yeah.
Like it was one less variable that you had to deal with. It's like, we'll show you everything you need to see.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the angle. And then that changed. But it was cool.
Yeah, it kind of makes me wonder, those two games in particular, Dino Crisis and God of War, just because we've been using them as examples, it's kind of closer to cinema in a way where it's like the director is showing you an image and say David Fincher, and it's like whatever is shown on the television or the movie screen, like he's wanting you to look at that. And if he cuts up close, well, he wants to show you the glass has poison in it or whatever, you know? In the same way, those games to me are almost like closer to cinema because you have a staged scene, like you said, and you have to play through it. And as you move, you trip certain things, and certain things pop out or happen. You know, a floor falls on top of you or whatever. I don't know. I think that's more cinematic. Where a free open world game like Grand Theft Auto or Ark or Red Dead, it's so much further from that sort of cinema. You know, because you can't choose your path. As much as you can choose your path in any sort of cinematic adventure, there's a path you have to choose. In Red Dead, dude, you don't choose a path. You just choose a direction. You can go off any direction. You don't even have to do the story. You could just you could go fuck the whole simulation up and just kill characters and animals the whole time.
Right.
Just chaos. No sense, no meaning, no logic. Or you can follow a path and a narrative or whatever and follow that along. But I don't know. Those games were cool.
I think about the online multiplayer, say like Fortnite rounds are very short.
How much? I guess when you die.
Depends. Right. So like anywhere from 30 seconds on the ground, you know, to like probably 15 or 20 minutes until that circle, you know, swallows everybody, if you've made it that far.
Yeah.
But every single round, every single round of every single Fortnite game ever played, in the trillions, who knows how many games of Fortnite have been played, you know. But none have ever been the same. And I think about that like life experiences, or even drop the H. People come in there, and depending on if they get me as a bartender, server, if they get Jansen or one of the other bartenders, will completely almost predict their experience.
Well, not completely predict, but it. I was thinking you were.
It's the heaviest influencer. It's like what Tyler told me at the car lot. Like they're not buying the car. Like
Right.
you're selling you. If they like their salesman, then they'll buy the car. They're here for that.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's like it's almost counterintuitive, but that's what it is.
That's not how I buy a car.
You say that, but it's like, and I don't know. He did mention the different breeds.
Selling to your dad and brother was a nightmare.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, dude.
And I expected every person to be like that, and then like
Right.
not every person is the anomaly.
Right.
So you can't. I just had very different expectations.
So I thought what I thought you were going towards, and you might have just found a different idea at the end of that idea, but what I thought you were going towards is saying like even simple experiences throughout life, like, you know, our generation in particular is like, I gotta climb Mount Kilimanjaro and sleep with an African lady and shoot a lion and blah, 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 whatever. Goes down this list of things of like the most interesting man in the room. That's who everybody wants to be. But even simple experiences like going to a local brewery, you haven't had every possible experience in that brewery because you might get Casey as your bartender one time. You might get Jansen as your bartender one time. Mark might be there and tell you a story about Germany. You might have a pizza that's bad. You might have a pizza that's great. You might have, you have all these potential outcomes and you can't possibly have all of them. So it's like every time you go to Drop the H, it's a different experience. You might have similarities, or you might be so roboticed out that you might just flip off. You're like, I'm back at Drop the H. And you just go through your motions, but you can never have the same experience. You can have similar experiences. I don't think you have the same experience. But even something simple like going out to eat, there's just endless potential, endless possibilities if you're awake and you're paying attention. That also makes me think about that mandala behind Casey. And if you think about it, right, this is representing a lot of different things, but doesn't it represent eternity? Like, doesn't this go forever? Like, if you were moving to the center, wouldn't everything go past you and you would never reach the center, right?
It's like circle. It's like black hole. Everything spirals.
Hole. Yeah.
And it's condensed into one.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering, while you were talking about that, like, okay, if that's infinite, and Joseph Campbell talks about mandalas and how that represents a self. I guess Carl Jung talked about it, and they were buddies. Oh my God. That the mandala can represent a self, and then we were talking about this. You write all the attributes around in a circle, and somehow that kind of comes to the center, and that is you, or at least part of who you are.
It's like a ego-driven mandala.
Yeah.
Who you think you are.
Right. Trying to figure out who you are. If you're truthful enough, you could find out. But then my thought was, well, what if it's endless? What if is your identity endless? Like, in the sense of a mandala, like the further you go into it, the more it continues to expand. So
and you're always changing. So like
Right.
your mandala today won't be your mandala tomorrow, figuratively speaking.
Yeah, but wouldn't it stay somewhat the same? Like
Probably your constants, right? But then like
unless you're Phineas Gage.
So should I guess like the closest to the circle be like your main constants, that who you are, unbreakable,
Right.
won't change. And then as they go out,
Well,
like your outermost circle, that's probably changing quite a bit.
Yeah.
What you'd prefer,
age-related,
Yeah.
health-related,
Yeah.
So what would like a constant be? Like what would be a general constant? Because my sheeple answer would be like nice. Nice.
I would think maybe truth. Like I like refuse to spread falsehood through earth.
Okay, so, but couldn't you mess up one day and not? That's like a choice that you make, like daily as a character. It's like a character choice, like truth. Yeah, that's a good word for it. It's like daily you say, I'm going to be a man of truth. I'm going to be a man of integrity. And then, maybe you're out with your bros and you accidentally tell a secret or something, or I don't know. You make a action that is not integral. I guess that doesn't change your internal. It just like
Just a mistake. Shows you're human.
I guess it would be a sin in that sense, this, as far as sin meaning to miss the mark.
Yeah.
So, okay, dude. So I had an epiphany the other day. We were talking about mandalas in the center, and Joseph Campbell said, you make your mandala, and whatever that center is, you shoot for that center, right? Well, then I thought, circle, center, that's archery-like. And then, sin. Do you know the definition of sin? It actually comes from archery culture, the word sin that's used in the Bible. It means to miss the mark. So then I was like, okay. So if you're an archer and you're aiming for the center, so we'll be spiritual archers. And we're saying, that's me, that's my mandala, that's my target, and there's the center. And you shoot for the center. Then you think of the passage in the Bible, a life of sin leads to death, or, how was that? Something like that. A life of sin results in death. Something like that. It's much more pretty. To me, that just all of a sudden kind of made sense to, like, you're not hitting your center. So if you live your whole life and you don't shoot for that center, or you just keep missing the center because you're too weak, you live a life of sin, of missing the mark of who you are in the mandala, in your mandala, in yourself. And it leads to death. I wouldn't say, because we're physical death, like we're all guaranteed a physical. I'm saying a spiritual death, to where now you work at a bank and you were supposed to be a painter. If you would have just aimed for that center, and Joseph Campbell talks about this, is when you finally are on the path, doors open that you didn't know were doors. People and characters, archetypes come to help you that that weren't in your life at all.
When a student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Right. That's another one of those. Yeah, that's another one of those sayings, kind of, right where you are now with your mindset, it won't work. It can't happen. But if you take that, if you are courageous and you start walking that path, suddenly things just start to kind of fall into place in a way, because you're brave enough, you're in the right place at the right time. You meet that person, you're like, I never would have met you if I wouldn't have showed up tonight, or if I wouldn't have said this or done this. And you just don't know until that happens. You just don't know. You just have to be brave enough to walk the path you think you're supposed to walk. I don't know. I told that to Colin when he stopped by the other day, and I was like, dang, like that was one of those thoughts where if I was Jordan Peterson, I'd be like, it took me a long time to figure this out. I thought about this for decades, but the mandala, and not a very good Jordan Peterson, but you know what I mean. But what do you think about that?
That's a broad question.
What question?
What do you think about that?
Oh. What do you think about that idea that I just presented to you and monologued about? Okay, here we go.
Give me the bullet points.
Check. So this is like a mandala, right? But see how we're moving into it, and then there's you. That's the self. That's you. And that's got the third eye going on. And you want to hear this music? It's got to be awesome. Nothing.
Cool.
Okay, but damn. This is not...
Whoa, that got ravey really quick.
So this isn't quite the mandalas that I was looking for, but just this right here.
Yeah.
So that's the mandala, look kind of like the thing behind you, but we're moving through it. So my question would be is self endless? And I think this is true. I don't remember who said it, but someone very smart, like a Jung or a Freud or someone, said, like, you can never truly know yourself. You can never truly know it. You'll always be short. Go ahead and stop this. Even though it's fucking awesome. But you can never truly know yourself, no matter how hard you attempt to know yourself. Because, well, I guess it's because you're infinite. And since we are finite beings, you'll never be able to grasp something that's infinite. You can grasp a lot of it or pieces of it, but you'll never be able to grasp an infinite idea or thing. So in that sense, maybe you are infinite as you.
Yeah, I'd argue that you shouldn't use that as a reason not to try, though.
Yeah.
Use it as a reason to, like, rebuke yourself and give into your vices and just live a life of patheticness.
Well, right. And yeah, people probably think that, and I probably think that sometimes, just being overwhelmed, like, why even try? Like, I'll never hit the bottom. I'll never get it. I'll never get it right. I'll never get it totally right.
It's like, I'll never be the best. I don't care how hard I try at
Right.
anything. I'll never be the best at anything. There's no way.
Well, I guess like on a time scale, say you broke a record for whatever track you run.
No, it's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
But let's just say
Let's just
say you do.
That's not even hypothetically
All right, let's
available.
Okay. Let's say you broke a record for playing video games. I think you could probably do that.
Maybe.
It's going to get broken at some point, right? That's like what every record that's ever done that before. Like football is bad. I guess all sports are bad at it, but I've just heard it was football because I'm a big football fan. But it's like, these records will stand for all time. You know, the Patriots will be a dynasty that we will always remember. And it's like, dude, no. Like, football, as much as it does seem, even to me, it seems like it's going to last forever.
Yeah.
Because we live in the time where football is the most popular sport. It makes the most money. People dedicate their entire life to it, playing it, coaching it, producing it, selling tickets, you know, whatever. There's a whole industry around it. But at some point, it'll lose its popularity and it'll go away. Or it'll mutate and it'll evolve into something that's not even football anymore.
Well, I like
just
how
like it has.
they're like, we'll never forget. And it's like, well, we don't forget because you keep fucking showing it to us. So
I forgot
that's
once you
why
stopped.
we all remember. Everybody knows about the Immaculate Reception and
Right.
the Franco Harris,
Right.
you know, like
Oh, yeah.
that, which is hell of a play.
Yeah.
Fantastic play. I wasn't around for it. I remember it. How does that work?
Right.
Like, that's how much I've seen it,
That's interesting.
is I remember it. And I didn't, that was like the 70s, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe the 80s.
That makes me think about, and I've had this thought a lot before, it's like the Hebrews. Like, why are the Hebrews, or Jews, or whatever you want to call them, why, I call them Hebrews just because I'm talking more biblical. Like, why do you know about them? It's because they wrote everything down. Like the Philistines, like we only know about the Philistines. Probably archaeologists out there know some, but like the common man only knows about the Philistines because the Hebrews mentioned them in the book. And the book kept getting passed down and passed down and passed down for 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years, however old it is. And the only reason any of that shit exists is because someone wrote it down. And there's all these other cultures that either we lost their stuff, that like, we did write it down, you guys burned it, you lost it in the jungle. Or they didn't write it down, they didn't have a sophisticated, you know, script or whatever to write things down, or they just didn't write it down. And they just get eaten up in time, kind of like what you're saying. The reason that we know Genesis, the creation myth, and just because I say myth doesn't mean it's not true. It's just it is a myth. Just like Christianity is a cult. It's just cult's a bad word. But that's because you make it bad. It's a neutral word, honestly. But you watch so many fucking Netflix documentaries about cult leaders.
Has there ever been a
name's
good cult?
Yeah, of course.
Like,
I don't know. I was trying to think of one.
yeah, I don't have anything.
But, well, what I'm saying is that the definition of cult is not a bad thing. A system of religious veneration and devotion directed towards a particular figure or object.
So maybe that's inherently a bad idea, though.
Okay, well, that's a different idea completely. Yeah, because are there good cults? I think. How do I identify a cult? 6 episodes. What's next? Rick Ross. I don't know. I always thought of a cult meaning not necessarily a bad thing. It's just like a group of people that dedicate their life to a religion or an idea or a person, just like that definition said. It doesn't inherently have to end with everyone drinking Kool-Aid and fucking dying. That just happened in that cult. There could be like a cult, like wouldn't you could say
The Rajneesh.
yeah, right. That didn't turn out so
They almost had it.
well. Yeah. I don't, maybe that's kind of what your thought comes in, is like, maybe that's just not a good idea. Like it started out great.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. And then it always leads.
Yeah, it
that
got
end.
crazy, and they were poisoning people. It was like,
Well, then
whoa,
they got
whoa,
the guns
whoa.
and yeah.
Yeah, then they're yeah, right.
I think it probably kind of leads back to Abraham Lincoln's quote of like, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it's like, no matter how holy of a man you are, when you have endless pussy, endless virgin, like everything that you want as a Homo sapien is offered to you in endless, bountiful amounts, you can't handle it.
Yeah.
I would argue that only one man did it, and that was Jesus. 40 days in the desert, and he was like, no, I can do this. I suffered. Or the Buddha, those hero figures were able to say no to the flesh, and that's why they arose and became who they are remembered as. But, regular Homo sapien is just like, what? I have endless money. I have endless access to things that will influence my brain chemistry, like a Ferrari. Yeah, I'm in. What do I got to do? I don't know.
Yeah, Civilized to Death. Chris Ryan was talking about how, like, pre-civilization, like Dunbar's number is like 150. So you're only supposed to kind of be able to remember about 150 names and, like, keep up with 150 profiles.
Right.
And if the tribe got bigger than 150, then they split up and they continually splintered. And he said it was very rarely ever 150. They would have splintered off before then,
Right.
Because resources and all that. But when everybody has access to every resource, like there's no water shortages for the 70 or 80 people or whatever, the village. There's enough food to go around and everybody shares. Like there's not a power structure to where it's like everybody's just equal. Because everybody has access to all the resources, and then you bring in farming,
right?
And then all of a sudden, after harvest, one dude has all the resources. So now he has the power.
Patriarchy,
and then capitalism just splooges all over that, and the seeds of that have grown into what is today.
It's interesting. Kind of makes me think that maybe we're going back to that though because of technology. Like maybe this capitalistic season, fuck that word, time within human history was necessary to get, this technology available to where
universal basic income.
Yeah, universal basic, solar power, endless energy, free electric.
Like you have the resources you need to do pretty much whatever you want. Don't shit on each other.
Right. To get to that point to where we were hunter-gatherers, now we are like neo-hunter-gatherers where everyone has a hut. It's kind of like communism, socialism type thing, but no man or woman is in control. It's a robot. It's
a little silent drone flies around the cow pasture and like just gently cuts the throat of each cow, like the most peaceful death possible. I guess even more than that, they would scream for lab-grown meat. But
well, just think of it's almost like
just the most humane
utopia
way.
Would be the word.
Yeah.
But you kind of get to that point where you were describing everyone's equal. So for instance, you and I, we're normal guys. Like we're below normal. I'm below normal. I'm just kind of below average.
I'm above average.
But, if Richard Branson walked in, he would have more value than us because he has more resources. Not necessarily because he's a nicer guy or he has more to give the world or whatever, but he just, because of who he is in our society.
A wise old man like that might look at us and be like, you guys are way more powerful.
Maybe
not. I mean, because he's like billions, but like, potential, like him pushing our potential of like, no, listen, you have so much more years, but he's just is so entirely massively powerful.
Well, that's why I used him as an example, but I was speaking more like just on his material wealth.
Yeah.
But you get to a point like a utopia where it's like, no. Why water is valueless because everyone's got it. Cars are valueless, like they're valueless, I guess is the word, because everyone's got a good car.
Well, it'd be like Tesla's driving everybody around.
Yeah.
Ubers and Tesla are just your means of transportation.
Nobody owns them.
It's free or whatever. It's just free public transportation.
So then you kind of get everyone on the same wavelength, and it's like we're just all the same. We can do whatever we want, basically whatever we want.
Do you think evolution will lead us into becoming genderless aliens?
Yes, I do. Absolutely, 100%. It's already happening. Because at first, when the gender thing happened, when it was like, we have to have 52 genders or 5,200 genders, I was like, fuck, that's so stupid, why are we doing that? You have a dick and balls and an XY, then you're a guy. If you have XX and a hole, then you're a girl. But then as I thought about it more and more, and I thought about, we were actually playing Ark at the time, and guys play as girl characters and girls play as guy characters, which is like, no big deal, whatever.
Oh, right.
And then I thought about Second Life, where you could be anything. Like some guy was a can of beans. You know, his character was a can of beans, but he could talk and move around. And so then I was like, wait a minute. I think what's happening is that our digital life, because everyone has a digital life. If you're on the internet, that's your life. You're a digital character, and everyone has a physical life. Me too. Everyone has a physical life, and I think those two are starting to bleed into each other. And in the digital world, you can be whatever you want. You can be a fucking can of beans if you wanted to. Now, in the physical world, you're kind of locked in. Your genetics dictate who you are, what you look like, all that kind of
Well,
stuff.
you know, social media kind of allows you to be whatever you want to be, like,
Kind of, yeah.
and kind of whatever you are. You know, if you're sad and you post a bunch of sad shit, everybody's like, "Well, he's sad." Or, you know, it's like
Right,
you
yeah.
get to broadcast
Yeah.
however you want to feel. If you want to be having a great time on vacation, but you and your
Right.
boyfriend have been fighting the whole time, and it's been a nightmare, and it's just like, loving it here.
Right.
Here's my tits for when I'm single, boys.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of that on social media. And you know how much you kind of were talking about it earlier with Civilized to Death by Chris Ryan, this new book, that everyone's depressed because they live alone. And a lot of people live alone. A huge percentage of people, I think he said like 66 or something.
34.
Oh, 30. That's still a big number if everyone in America or whatever. But 34% of people live alone. And that makes people lonely.
Like 1 in 3 people live alone.
Yeah, that's high.
That seems really high.
Yeah. But that is what's feeding into people being depressed and purposelessness, a feeling of purposelessness and all that kind of stuff. I argue, even on top of that, that social media, because it's this false, endless stream that has literally been programmed to like take its tentacles and suck your face.
Mm-hmm.
Like they hacked the human mind. And they're like, oh yeah, this is as bad as porn and gambling, and it's social media, and it's in everyone's fucking hand at any time.
Hit a dopamine every time you
Every
update your
time.
status,
Every
and that
time.
little red fucking bell is on or whatever.
Yep.
It's like, ooh, who paid attention to me today?
I love it.
It sucks, dude. It sucks. And I was like, let me take this picture. Why? So you can post it? Like, of course, so I can post it,
Right.
not so I can have it in a gallery somewhere.
Right.
And galleries are endless, so you don't have to be conservative. Like if you have a camera with 36 pictures on it, one of those,
Right.
like you're going to be conservative with it and take good photos.
Right.
Now it's like, unlimited. You have a cloud.
Bro,
you
we got pictures of food.
It's like, oh, when is
People
that?
taking
2012, 2,500 pictures in 2012.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't take that many pictures, but
People
just
do, though.
just years and years of pictures. Whenever it's like our parents might have one picture from 1974.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like what?
Yeah, and what's funny is that one picture has so much more value.
Yes.
They bring it out and they go, look, this is me and
Right.
your dad when we first moved in this house. And you're like, you can't get enough
Yeah.
of it, dude. But if you can you imagine if they sat us down, they're like, this is dad's feed and this is mom's feed.
Oh
We'll go,
my God.
you just fucking shoot yourself.
Yawn.
But the one picture that's Polaroid or whatever, and they go, look, I don't remember. I think I was actually talking to grandma about this, but she was saying that the difference in pictures nowadays, because you can edit a photo. And so kind of like you took a picture of the studio earlier, a lot of times people will zoom in on what they want you to see. Early cameras or whatever, you just took a picture and it captured so much more in the background. Like there's a person there a lot of times, but the background and what's around them also got captured. Well, at the time it was kind of it was unwanted, whatever. We don't want to see the rusty old barn or whatever. But fast forward 50, 60, 70 years and they go, there's that old rusted barn, and you it captured a photo in the back of the day, captured a lot more memory than they do now. And they didn't even really know they were doing it until they revisited it and they go, oh, there's Sparky or whatever.
And it's like the more pictures you have, the quicker it's like, yep.
Right.
I mean, like, if there's 150 pictures of them moving in and here they're kissing and then that's them lifting the couch and they're turning on the TV, grandpa's trying out his chair, whatever. It's like, I mean, that doesn't matter. But yeah, if there's like, here's 2 pictures of us, it's like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know. Something about that. Something about finding old stuff like I came across. Well, actually, Jesse sent it to me. He sent me the 50 rules of CCJ.
Yeah.
And I sent you some of that.
They
It was
were
interesting.
awesome.
Our CCJ was a club that Casey and our cousin Casey and our cousin and I all created when we were kids, Colton, Casey, Jesse. And I don't remember this, which is crazy because it makes me wonder what the hell else I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I don't remember writing we had 50 rules for our club that we all came up with, and we we wrote it on a word processor, and it was in Old English text.
It's very CCJ like.
Oh, yeah.
Very back in the day.
We
like.
loved Old English.
That was just the coolest font.
It was
Hands
so
down.
cool. It's still pretty cool, I guess.
That's the coolest font.
But like some of the it was so revealing of our characters back then. Like,
Yeah, it takes me back too, like
Yeah.
of that childhood innocence in a way.
Yeah.
Like, we had some weird rules, but
oh yeah,
a lot of them were like, oh yeah, I remember,
yeah,
I guess, feeling that way. I think of the one of like respect the living and the dead.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean by it was so revealing of our character as boys.
Yeah.
So there were some very contradictory things that we had on there. One was never lie to a fellow CCJ member unless told to do so. It's like, okay. We were very concerned about our secret spots. Of the 50 rules, there's probably 5 that mention the secret spots and what happens if you give away the location of our secret spot. And then about rule 48 or 49, it lists every secret spot.
Like documented though, these are the secret spots.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was... No, I can't break that rule.
Just if anything happens. Reference number 49
Right.
for a list of the secret spots.
I don't know why we did that, but it kind of makes me think that while you're living in the season, I kind of, maybe I speak for myself, like you kind of always kind of feel like you got it, like you kind of know what's going on. And then as you get older and you look back and you're like, oh, fuck, I was so far off, like I was trying. It's kind of like while the CCJ moments were going on, I kind of, as a 10-year-old boy or whatever how old I was like, oh yeah, I get it, And then as time goes on, I look back and I'm like, oh, look at all these things that were happening that I wasn't even aware of.
Yeah.
I didn't have a clue, but they come through in the rules. They come through in the way that we talk to each other.
Yeah.
And you just don't know that until time has passed and you get a little distance to it. Same with these podcasts. Like, we listen to these podcasts in 10 years and we wonder, like, oh, look at all these things that were happening that we thought we were aware of, but we had no idea they were actually happening. Yeah.
Yeah, I think even it's getting easier and easier to say of like 5 years ago. Well, that wasn't that long ago.
Right.
It's like I was 21. I was past the drinking age or whatever. And how much different, I guess, different and the same the things are. Like, I don't know. There's just like growth that happens that you can't anticipate happening because it just happens. And then there's still more. And then at 35, you're going to be like, when I was 25, I don't know. 18 and below is like a blur for me.
Oh, bro.
Like, I don't really know. There was no me. It was just like honest feedback, just like in and out. And like there was no processing.
Yeah.
It just happened.
Yeah.
It was just processing.
So that makes me think. So I've been reading Jung lately and listening to a lot of Jordan Peterson, and they kind of talk about the person that's awake, and it's like you weren't awake back then. You were here, and you would have felt pain and suffering and all that kind of stuff, but you just weren't awake. And actually, if I think back, I can kind of remember when I started to become woke or awake or whatever you want to call it. When I was kind of experiencing, like, California was kind of the first moments of reflection on myself, reflection of the world. That was the first time I had distance between the family, and I could be like, oh, I was such a piece of shit, all that kind of stuff. And then from there's just little tiers of awakeness that everyone goes through. Because I do remember at one time I was talking to Tyler Morton, and he brought up some conspiracy thing, and I was like, I'm so past conspiracies. But then I thought, oh, I remember that step. Like, I remember I was there for a long time, and oh, he's thinking like I kind of used to think, and I could just kind of see the pattern. And
Like that wanting to believe.
Yeah, in a way. But it was also like, it was the douche in me coming out like I was morally superior. And then I was like, dude,
Like further developed.
yeah, which is totally not true. But the whole point was like thankfully I caught myself, and I'm like, don't rain on his parade. Like he's going through what you kind of went through, and there's not like a map like, let's see where you are on the map. You know, it's like maybe you start way down here because you have a huge traumatic incident happen, or maybe you just. I talked to Oz. Do you remember Oz from Cali? Anyway, I had a great friend named Oz. I fucking would love to have him on the podcast.
Sorry, Oz.
Oh, you love Oz, dude.
I don't know if we met or if I don't remember you.
Oz was telling me that when he was 3 or 4 years old, he got put in timeout, and I'm butchering the story, but somehow he got put in timeout because he got in an argument with his parents about God. And when he was in timeout, he was like, that's kind of when I realized that God was bullshit or whatever. It was like 3 or 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
No, not me, dude. I did not think that. And when you talk to him, you're kind of like, oh, okay, I see. That's like where your cornerstone, like you built your consciousness on that idea. Like that's kind of when you might have become awake because you were reflective upon this idea and everything. I just gobbled that stuff up. Okay.
Yep.
Feed it away. I'm not going to ask questions.
But we were also like grabbed by the nose and fucking force fed every step of the way. Like, please, no more. Eat.
Right.
Eat it.
God loves you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but, whatever. They tried.
Yeah. And I don't know. You can't, whatever. It's all kind of goes back to right where we started in our conversations, that every experience is endless, and your life experience is so much different and has so much more possibilities than everybody else's because of who you are. Because I'm your brother. Like, I'm not Colby's brother. He didn't have that experience. So that didn't build who Colby is. It built who you are. Same with like, I didn't drive a Hummer in high school. You did. That tiny little detail built a little piece of who you are. Like if you go back in your memories and you delete that Hummer and you put a monster truck or you put a motorcycle or something, it changes your identity a little bit, because that's part of what your identity is based in, is your memories. And each little piece of detail in your memories builds who you are. I dated Sam, not Lauren. Big difference. Would have been a huge difference, but it's a tiny detail.
Yeah.
Yeah. You are tired.
I feel all right.
You were saying how it's kind of that time of year where school's really pushing down on you. Drop the H is vigorous. I remember those days.
It's weird that like drop the H is manageable. The school fucking sucks. But drop the H is like, all right, let's go put in my time,
right.
Talk to some people.
Why is school so bad?
Maybe the like risk to reward ratio is pretty small, at least in my experience, getting a psych degree and stuff. And then now looking for a biology degree is kind of like the same department. Like, yeah, you can go on and get a master's and
right.
like do it.
I think that's all.
Do I want to put the time in? Like, do I?
Yeah.
And that is all like they see that that you've taken the time to take this seriously, and that you actually want to do this, and that you studied this.
Mm-hmm.
Read a couple paragraphs in your whatever.
Yeah.
And then they see that you're going to put in the time for it. It's just like, if you want the job at the end of that tunnel, then go through the tunnel. But if you don't go through the tunnel.
Yeah.
And come out on the other side full of debt and good experience, I guess. Like, I definitely appreciate the way I think now, and a lot of it is because of psychology classes, like Pitt State experience, that if I hadn't gone to school, I'd be really interested to see who that Casey would be. I think it would be much more of the reactive, just in and out as soon as you get the impulse to do it, or whatever. Something like that is what I would suspect. But now I'm much more introspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which can become an issue, obviously.
Yeah, you can be too introspective.
Yeah.
I have a hard time dissing college because of what you just said. While I was there, I had good experiences. I met cool people. I had moments of great growth from professors, from other students, from lessons, from classes. My God, cellular biology, the professor alone changed my life, you know. And but at the same time, it has this dark side of insane money and politics and dark holes of, you know, biased teaching and closed mind thinking, and which is unfortunate because that's what college kind of started as, was to battle that sort of ideology. All the rural farms and random religions, you know, that were very biased in their thinking. They were like, come to liberal arts college and we'll teach you the sciences. And then now it's flipped. Well, actually, sort of, but with your gender studies, and which is like, it's not bad, but they've rendered it into something that's like out of control.
You know, it feels like $200 for a semester.
Now that's different too.
And you take a gender studies class, like you're just kind of broadening your horizon or whatever, versus spending $17,000 or you know, whatever.
Oh man, there's a
some
great,
of those D1 schools.
Oh, holy
Dude.
shit! For USC was $40,000 a semester. Not like a year, a semester. Spring semester was $40,000.
There's a girl I work with went to KU, 17 a grant or 17 a semester.
That's almost, if you play your cards right, you can make Pitt State 17 your whole all 4 years. If you play your cards right.
She's talking one semester.
That's insane, dude. There's a great video on YouTube. I think it's Prager University, and people might be like, fucking Prager. It's conservative based or whatever, but they make these really funny videos that just play on dumb liberal idea or thinking. And so there's one about college, and it's a kind of like a Remy Martin. Who's the guy that says one-liners? He's a comedian. He's skinny. He got black hair.
Jeff Foxworthy?
No, he plays the guitar sometimes and sings funny songs.
John Mulaney?
Dimitri Martin.
Dimitri Martin.
There's a character like Dimitri Martin. He's playing a guitar, and he's talking about, like, why does college cost so much? And he can't find the professors in the song. And he goes, I looked in the private pool. I looked at the rock wall. And he's just naming all these things. And it's so funny because meta philosophically or whatever, that's why college costs so much, is because colleges are not selling knowledge anymore. They're selling an experience, you know. You want things to do on campus. What do you have on campus? You got a Starbucks? Well, I'm not coming, you know. You have a performing arts center where I can go to concerts? Well, I'm not coming. Some of those bigger D1s, dude, they have ridiculous shit. They have rock walls, bowling. Let me pull it up, dude, because it's funny enough to watch. It's called Prager University. And they make some funny videos. Is college worth it? College made me. Maybe it's not Prager, but Prager has a lot of stuff like this, which, you know, that's Tucker Carlson. So, you know, you got to be careful what you watch. Dangerous people are teaching your kids, you know. I don't know. It's definitely a conservative thing, but I like to watch it. Where is the professors?
Somebody didn't go to college.
Student mocks principal. Damn it, I'd love to find this fucking song.
I don't know if I want another glass of wine. How long have we been moving?
About an hour.
Okay.
Is that right?
Seems right.
58 minutes.
Seems right.
Let me look for this real quick. Professors. Funny college song.
What's going on in the news lately?
Oh. Of course, I type in funny college song, and I love college. Wait, that's a classic. That's the Pitt State anthem right there.
Says 47 other schools across the nation. That's our song. No, it's not.
Damn, I don't know how I'm gonna. I'll try a couple more because the podcast is suffering from me trying to find this stupid song, but I will try to find it.
Whatever, dude. I'm having a great podcast.
Oh, I just try to be wary of the people that are listening.
Getting a little buzzed. Gonna tell some stories.
Why don't you talk a little bit about your decision not to pursue veterinarian school?
I guess there's not much behind it besides I don't want to work that that much.
Yeah.
I think being any kind of doctor is just a different level. You're starting to deal with workaholics at that point.
Doctors with people or animals?
Right, just doctor.
Right.
Not PhD. They should have a different name. Because, sorry, they aren't doctors. Doctors are medical professionals.
Well, they're medical professionals that work on animals.
What?
Are you talking veterinarians?
No.
Oh, sorry.
You can't freaking... I'm talking either. I'm talking just like a doctor. Not a non-PhD, an MD or DVM, a doctor of medicine,
Found it.
or a medical doctor.
Right. PhD versus MD. And there's a couple other Ds out there.
There's no verses. There shouldn't be. They should just have a different name. Why go by doctor? That's a medical thing. Go by...
Okay. Like a professor.
Yes.
I'm Dr.
Yes.
Seifert, and I teach philosophy.
No, you're not.
Well,
Are you a medical professional? No, you have a master's.
Well, what does doctor
PhD.
actually mean? Like, what does the term actually mean? Thank God Google makes sure that...
Oh, we're going to trust Merriam and Webster. Brought to you by Merriam
Christianity.
Webster.
The first one's a Christianity. An eminent theologian declared a sound... See, a lot of PhDs in the Christian world. Like, if you want to be a pastor, got to have a PhD in, like, Greek. A learned or authoritative teacher. So it's not necessarily...
In healing arts. I like that.
Which one?
No, 2.
Oh. Specializes in healing arts. So a shaman, a doctor, shaman,
Physician, dentist, or veterinarian.
who holds advanced degree is licensed to practice.
Medicine man.
See, that's the second term. The first term, which is usually the more accurate,
Don't like it.
is to the one that
Disagree.
you're not agreeing with. All right, listen. It's called. That one's funny too. But this one's called Students United. Check it out, everybody. Reason.tv.
Students united, and nothing can tamper. We're taking our message to all parts of campus, the administrations who we're trying to find. We want to know why our tuition's so high.
Which is great because it's
Check the yoga studio, they're not there. The coffee shop, ice cream machine everywhere. The sauna, the climbing wall, pool, the high dive. We want to know why our tuition's so high. We're the Students United. We
actual. Look at that.
divided.
That's your classes.
We want to and don't try to fight it. Our SAT, ACT scores are sublime, but there still are some answers we struggle to find. We're protesting privilege. We're marching the streets with the golf and the dance and equestrian team. We need a safe space from the intolerant. Can't you see your words hurt me, you dumb piece of shit? We're the Students United. We won't be divided. We'll get what we want. Oh, and don't try to fight it. Our SAT.
Isn't that insane? Look, boom.
But there still are some answers.
Why should John pay your tuition?
We're chanting with vigor, we're chanting with rage. We won't accept less than a good living wage. At a job interview, we told them how we felt. And the last thing we heard, they went with someone else. We're the Students United.
Oh, yeah.
We won't be divided. We'll get what we want. Oh, and don't try to fight it. Our SAT, ACT scores are sublime, but there still are some answers we struggle to find.
He doesn't know the answer. Yeah, that kind of shit. Just like living skills, dude. Anyway, I always enjoy that little thing. It's hilarious. It's just so comical because of how truthful it is in a way. It's like college doesn't have to be a prison. Like you don't have to live off ramen noodles and study for 24 hours a day or whatever. Like, God damn, it's 2019. Can't we have an institution where we go learn and it's challenging, yes, but it's not torture, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't, you know, okay. I'd love to have a college with a high dive and all that kind of crap, and Pitt has a lot of that stuff. And that's awesome. As a kid, like, you kind of you want to be able to take advantage of that kind of stuff. But I think what their whole point was is it supersedes the true intention of college, which is an education and critical thinking. And like I said earlier, it's supposed to breed in you critical thinking so that you can take those ideas that have been established and go, you know, is this true? Is it true? You know, but what it's become, and you can attest to this, what it's become is PowerPoints, professors reading PowerPoints, and the only questions at the end of the lecture is this going to be on the test? Nobody asks questions, and no one asks real questions about the material.
Yeah.
It's always my only goal is to get a mark in this class that says I learned my shit, but doesn't really prove that you learned anything. It's you learned how to get a good grade.
Yeah.
You didn't learn the material. Alan Watts talked a lot about that.
Every single class uses PowerPoint. Every single one. Download the PowerPoints.
Yeah.
Bring it to class. Whatever. It's like everyone uses PowerPoints.
And-
Convenient.
Yeah.
Gets the information across.
It's not a lecture anymore, and that's what I said about cellular biology. Oh, Dr. It'll come to me. One of the best professors I've ever had. The reason I loved him so much is because he actually lectured. He actually spoke. Did he have a PowerPoint? Yeah, he did. But it was just for reference. It wasn't like he'd go, and then the cell divides, and we all know that, right? Cell divides, blah, blah. No, he'd be like, cells divide and blah, blah, blah. And when I divorced my wife, and he'd go on like this tangent, and some of it was funny, like tangents like that had nothing to do, but some of it was insightful stuff. Dr. Zurich, I think Zurich or something like that. Some of it was so deep and insightful, and it revealed his true character as a man and as a human, and it was like, wow, I think you're fucking awesome. And it made it made the information that much more valuable too. I was like, because he made it interesting.
Yeah.
My God. The rest of them just.
I think being human and like meeting other real humans. Like I hope when people meet me, they get a filtered me, but it's pretty cl's to me. Not I met drop the H bartender.
Right.
You know, it's like I met my bank teller.
Right.
What was her name? She's my bank teller. I don't know.
Right.
You know, I just say hi, how you doing? I don't fucking care about her name.
Right.
But it's like when people are humanized and you can actually have real connection, it's such a different, impactful thing, you know, because I've had people like stop me and like, hey, I've been in here before. We talked. Like, oh, hi. And then, you know, so it's nice to meet other humans and not just you're here for this service.
Right.
After this exchange is over, I have no further use for you, and you will be destroyed.
Right. Yeah.
Mentally destroyed.
Yeah. Right. I think it's fascinating that a lot of the things, not everything, I guess, a lot of the things that Casey thinks of himself as being bad or negative or like, I hate that trait about me or I dislike that is what the world loves about you so much.
You have something in mind? Sounds like you have something in mind with that.
No, I was just trying to make it more personalized for you. But like same with me, like for instance, you know, maybe, God damn, I don't know. I can't.
Do you want some of this?
Yeah, I'll take some. Put it in this.
Ew. Ew. You're mixing alcohol.
I mean, like, it just seems like if something does, listeners and viewers out there, if something does come to me, I will say it, but I'm just going to make a general example right now. It just seems like a lot of the things that we repress that we think like that I hate that about me or whatever, or I don't want people to know that I'm like that. That is what the world wants so bad. And when someone lets those flourish, it's just they just become infatuating. You can't look away from them. Now, That's not to say that all those things are good. Some of those things are like, yeah, repress that shit. Like, it doesn't fit in this society. It's kind of annoying. It's detrimental, or maybe the way that you're using it is detrimental. But a lot of that stuff is like, that's really who you are, and that's special. It's a Pixar movie.
You're special. Yeah, I think it's the person that it makes you by. It's like not self-actualization, but it kind of is in the way of like, this is who I am meant to be, and like where my time is supposed to be spent.
Right.
And the change in personality and energy level and overall demeanor of that person is what's going to make the difference in, like, everybody's so happy that you decided to pursue your absolute, whatever.
Right. And this kind of makes me think about, I don't remember who said it exactly, but they were talking about movies, and they said, with all art, there's a saying, find your voice, right? A lot of writers will use that. Find your voice. You have to find your voice. And painters and all artists. And they talk about Tarantino. Like, if you watch a Tarantino movie, you know that Tarantino did it because it's very Tarantino-ish. It's his calling card.
Voice.
It's his voice. And we love Tarantino movies because they're Tarantino movies, right?
That's exactly why.
That's the whole point about if he would suppress that.
His name is on it.
Yeah,
I will watch it.
If he suppressed that, though, and he said, that's not how people make movies. Like, this is how you make movies, and I need to do it like that. Then his movies just would have been bland and just like everybody else's movies, and the cuts would have all been the same. But he goes, no, that's not me. And he goes out and he does this thing that is him. He's true to himself in his art. And he becomes one of the greatest directors and movie film people of all time.
Right. Legend.
Right.
I still need to watch Once Upon a Time.
Oh, it's
Hollywood.
Tremendous. I would go.
I think it's going to get re-released.
If it does, I'll go with
I think it's going to get re-released. I should check that.
I would love to go back and see it. Like, I enjoyed. I mean, I went to the theater and I let loose. Like, there was no outside world. There were 4 walls and a screen.
Yeah.
And I was in Hollywood in 1970. And Kelsey's so much fun to watch movies with because she fucking actually watches them. And she is artistic and she's a marketing person, so she thinks that way. And there are times, like in The Joker, where she like nudged me and was like, "Did you see that camera movement?" And I'm like, "I did see that camera movement. Holy shit!"
There's a few I'm watching in The Joker. It's just like, it's just a beautiful movement.
Oh, yeah, camera movement.
Yeah, and we watched some nature stuff in my animal behavior class.
Yeah,
nobody in there appreciates how are they getting this footage.
right.
It's bugs. It's like, it's the most insignificant thing, and they are getting exact details, and David Attenborough is telling you exactly what's happening here.
Right.
It's like, does nobody appreciate this?
Right. That's what I wish college was. I wish there was a whole classroom of going, are you guys thinking this?
Right.
Are you guys also thinking, like, how are they getting these shots? And they go, yeah, well, I was just thinking that. But it's all, people on their phones.
Well, that, or like, I want to know what classes Jordan Peterson's teaching of, like, get your life together type classes. Like, what?
Do we have any of those at Pitt?
What is that called? Because my logic class was not like that. It was like RC greater than B. Like, I thought this was logic. Like, welcome to logic. One did me dirty. But like, the philosophy classes I've taken have been PowerPoints, and
well, they've been like,
this is what these people think and thought, and Jordan Peterson's like real applicable.
Right.
Like, as soon as you leave, you can start implementing these ideas into your life.
Well, then that's why he's Jordan fucking Peterson.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know what classes he's teaching, but man.
Well, they're all on YouTube.
If it had his name on it, I would enroll.
They're all on YouTube. And I don't know how much you keep up with Jordan Peterson, but he's making a online university with his name on it. And
Jeez.
He talked about the different courses, and there's going to be like a writing course and a philosophy course and a reading course and all kinds of things that are, not so much STEM. You kind of have to actually go to a college for that. But yeah, he's actually making an online college, kind of like what he did with what was that thing where you wrote out the
Self-authoring.
Self-authoring, kind of similar to kind of how that kind of worked, self-authoring, which was great. Which is applicable, like you said. Like you get self-authoring, and if you actually take the time and spend a week doing it, like you'll be better for it.
Yeah.
You know, it helps because a lot of people don't think that way. So then they take the self-authoring course, and a question's like, you know, we've all been asked the question like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? That's pretty typical, and usually it's like a masturbating question, like, I want to have a mansion and a Ferrari and blah, 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 blah. And it's kind of like, well, okay, that'd be nice. But like, really, where do you see yourself in 5 years based on the actions that you performed today and yesterday and the day before that? If you think that way, you get a lot clearer shot, and it could be a lot darker and scarier, and it should scare the shit out of you to get your act together. It's scaring me right now just thinking about it. And it should scare yourself, or it should inspire yourself to get your act together so that 5 years from now becomes a heavenly place. If you're lucky and you don't have some sort of asteroidal impact in your life.
Yeah, and I love the daily upkeep. That is so vital. And I love the meme of the guy on the beach, and he's got like crabs crawling on him, and he's got a club, and he's like fighting off these crabs that are overtaking him. And the caption's like, when you forget to clean your room for a day or something. It's just like, that's happens. And then all of a sudden that day turns into 2, and then it creeps into the kitchen, and then you got a couple dishes, and then another day goes by, and then you got more dishes, and then your desk is getting dirty. And it's just like, if you don't deal with that, it's just going to pile up, and maybe you'll have one Sunday where you think, all right, I'm going to get caught up today, and maybe you'll do that. And, you know, the worst is whenever you have to do that. You know, you get to your Sunday, you're like, I'm cleaning this whole place up, you know, and you get like 3/4 of the way through. So like you don't get Monday with the fresh start. You're already started loaded with shit that you don't need to be dealing with because you get home and dishes are still dirty or something. It's like, But I've been doing pretty good at this place.
That's good.
Just like never let the dishes get too bad. If it's on the floor, I determine if it's clean or dirty, and, you know, am I going to hang it back up or put it in the dirty thing? Like, make decisions about it, and then all of a sudden you wake up in the morning and like, whoa, a clear path to the kitchen, you know?
It feels good.
It does. It feels good. It kind of feels like you're not, maybe some, like you're not so scrambled, I guess. You can leave the house and like, I have the keys, wallet, phone, and see a spread of everything because your desk is clean. You have a few items that it's like, don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. Do a quick scan out the door. Get home, you feel good about it.
You've heard the saying like the exterior world reflects the interior world. So like, I think that quote was speaking about desks, tops. You walk into someone's desk, there's papers everywhere. It's like that's his or her mind is probably structured in that way as well. But if you see like a nice cleanly desk, you're like, well, this person within himself is probably pretty well organized. And
well, it's so weird how much like willpower and your self-decisions, your own decisions do that, because it's like maybe you're not really put together in your head and you are scattered and everything, but you decide to make your bed and you decide to clean your house. Right. It's like, how does that affect the scale? How does that affect the equation as far as the output of, are you scattered? Are you more or less scattered? Because you are putting in effort. I guess it's almost like you go work out, you're going to be kind of like the same strength for a day or two until that new muscle builds up, and then you're a little bit stronger. So I don't know.
It kind of made me, that example made me think about depression. And people will talk about depression. They say like, "Oh, I'm depressed." That was too excited for a depressed person.
Oh man, I am depressed.
People will be like, "Man, I am depressed. I can't get out of bed. I can't stop watching Netflix. I can't stop scrolling through social media." But what I heard you saying was, if you take action, if you go, I am definitely depressed, I feel it, it's on my shoulders, it's in my heart, but you still go work out, the action of working out battles the feeling of depression. Or I don't want to go meet this person for coffee, blah, blah, blah. But in your heart of hearts, you know, like, I probably should. And then you go and you feel so good that you went and met this person. You had this great, delightful conversation, and you feel better because of it. Because you took that action. That's almost kind of like the quote of "fake it till you make it."
Mm-hmm.
There's a great TED talk about "fake it till you make it" about a girl that got a job, and she's like, "I am not meant to be in this job," and somebody kind of gave her that advice. Not exactly, but fake it till you make it. And then one day she's just like, oh shit, I am this thing. Like I've become the position that I didn't think I ever would be able to embody. And it was because she just kept making the decision to be that over and over again. In fact, Carl Jung, I was looking at Carl Jung quotes last night, and it was something like, we are not the events that happen to us. We choose who we are. God damn it. If anyone ever, if we ever become big, like the Rogan podcast, people will make entire compilations of me just fucking slaughtering quotes. Like it'll just be hours of quotes where I just I do them dirty. And see if I can find this one. But it was basically like you choose who you become. You get to choose.
That's
you
like
want to be confident, you choose to be confident. And then all of a sudden, you're confident.
That's like being good or bad, like a good or bad person.
Yeah.
It's like you making good choices doesn't like push your meter, your dial's right in the middle, you're neutral, you're not good or bad, and you make a good decision. It doesn't like keep moving it to where you have a bunch of good decisions and you're moving the meter and then you make a bad decision, it just moves back a little bit. Like
That's like very video game-ish.
Every decision is right in the middle and you get to decide this decision good or bad.
Yeah.
And if you make a bad decision, you're not a bad person, you're just a person.
Right.
But it's not like you're inherent or like it's not like you're proportionally more bad or more good.
Right.
It comes down to every decision that you make of, will I make a good decision or make a bad decision?
There's something to be said about momentum, though. Like
maybe, yeah.
Like when I'm struggling with whatever, I get a day or two under my belt, and I'm like, I'm stronger for it because I know I'm distanced myself from that action, that behavior, that whatever it is. I can work on becoming better. Because sometimes I'll just fucking overdose on it. Whatever. I'll just be like, I'm gonna be an asshole all the way.
Yeah.
And I get sick. Like I wake up Sunday morning, I'm like, I am the biggest douchebag of all time, and then that inspires me to become better. You just got to break out of that. But I just meant that. Well, I agree. Every choice is in the middle, and you just get to go left, right, or this way, that way, whatever, dark, light. But there's something to be said about momentum to where, if you continually make good choices, they just become easier. Mm-hmm. They just become easier to make. And that's kind of what Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson talk about. It's like whatever you practice daily, when the chips are down, that's what comes out.
Yep.
And I was talking to Mom, like, if you were in a crowded mall and you heard a gunshot, that's when the real you's going to come out. You going to be a hero? Like, have you trained yourself to be a hero, to help people, to put yourself second and help and save people? Or are you going to be a coward and run and save yourself? That's not really cowardness so much. That's more of just self-preservation. But, those are the kind of opposites or whatever. But when you go, bam, and then you just go down to that reptilian brain, whatever you've been programming yourself to do over and over and over again, whatever choice you've been making, that's what happens. That's the choice that you make.
Yeah.
There's a quote. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. I think that's brilliant. I was struggling, dude, yesterday. Struggling bad. In fact, like, this whole page, and this whole page is just, like, evil. It is dark. It is, like, it was fucking heavy on me, man. It was heavy. Dangerous thoughts. And I was in the tree stand, and I just felt my bow fell off the damn four-wheeler. The strings popped off. 2 hours of trying to get the strings back on. I was kind of bummed about that. I shot a deer in the leg a couple weeks ago or whatever. Fucking stupid. All this stuff is happening, And I don't really remember where, or I don't remember how I fixed that Rubik's Cube in my mind, but all of a sudden, like, everything just fell into place. I'm like, oh my God. I've been controlled by my thoughts and emotions for the past day. Like, and they've all been gross and negative and like kind of dangerous in a way. Like don't let these roots get too deep. And it was just plain as day. I even tweeted about it. I said, like, when you finally understand the lesson, the suffering is a lot easier to bear. And I was like, oh, well, the lesson is that I control all these. A negative thought comes flying in, you know, whatever it is, like, oh, your video business isn't doing so well. It's like, I can grab it and just change it to good. Or I can let that sink in negatively and, like, pull me down. And then something else happens, you know, hey, the credit card bill, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
it was just a realization of like, I have control. It was a Fight Club moment of like, I have the gun. What in the world am I doing? And I just went through each one and just changed them a little bit. And it was tremendously powerful.
Kind of makes me think of Jocko and like, take your emotions out of it. Like it's important to have emotions and, you know, all that. And like to feel your emotions. But on like a day-to-day basis to where you get to that, I don't feel like it. Like, who gave you a vote? This is who you are. This is who you want to become. These are your goals. This is what you want your day to look like. You know, that's what you're supposed to plan your day the night before and then kind of stick to it. And then you had the day you want to have instead of winging it all day. Like, now what do I feel like doing? Oh, I should get something to eat right now. Like, well, you were supposed to eat 2 hours ago. Then you would have been in work mode right now or whatever. You know, if you had a schedule and it's like, I don't want to work out. Like, you don't get a vote. Sorry. Go do it. You're up.
One of the things I've kind of learned lately, or that I've trying to implement into my behavior, is that if my mind or Colton, the all-controlling Colton inside of me that says, like if I was honest and I said, what should I do today? And it's like, you should write on a script. If it says something to me, I try to do it as quickly as possible. Like I try not to put too much between me and that action because sometimes, a lot of times, that will come up and it'll go, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. You could go to the gym and get a workout and be done with that for today. And I'm thinking, yeah, I could. So my path to the gym should be immediate. I should say, I'm going, get my shoes, get my speaker, and go.
Before it's too late.
Before I go, I'd like to get a little breakfast. I should jot some ideas down.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll stretch before. And then you do all this crap that just loads you down and you never get to the gym.
The hardest homework, it's like, let me prep. I got my notes. Okay, that's what I need. Okay. What's the second hardest homework? And I start doing that.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, now that that's done, stats will be easy. I'll do some of that now.
Right.
It's like, this needs your attention desperately. It needs your full attention, not your like bogged down attention.
Right, and fresh energy and fresh focus. Like you can't just come into this. It's like you ran a mile and now you have to power clean, and it's like, no, you're about to max out on power clean, and you're already tired. Like you should have came in swole or whatever.
Have you ever heard of Parkinson's law?
I don't think so.
Parkinson's law is you will do the amount of work in the allotted time frame. And it's a reason why like you might argue on a shorter work week or work day, because if you have 8 hours to do a job, you're going to spend the whole 8 hours filling the time. You fill the time with the work. So if it takes you 3 hours to get it done, but you have an 8-hour work day, that 3 hours is going to take the full 8 hours to get done, because you're going to click your pen and then you're going to go to Amazon and look around because you got time to finish. Right. And like the work will extend based on the time frame given to do it. That kind of changed my mentality as far as like, all right, I got 4 hours to study. Like, well, how much of that is going to be studied? How much of that is going to be like a spades round? One of the,
yeah. I'm thinking of, you have a very limited time compared to what I'm thinking. I'm like, I should write a script sometime in my life.
Yeah, right. Sometime in my lifetime. I have till now until the day I die.
Which is, ironically, I'm like 122. I'll probably kick the bucket, which is so stupid because I could literally be like, bye, have a good, after the podcast is done, have a good time and fucking fall over. Hopefully I don't. But yeah, I mean, death is like, that one's any time. One thing, another technique that has been helping me a lot lately is literally just diving in and going for it, not trying to prepare too much, understanding that preparation is important, but over preparation is not good. And
there's a fine balance.
There's a fine balance, absolutely. It started with Moby Dick, and I was looking at the bookshelf, and I'm like, I need to be reading these books. And I looked, I'm looking over all these books. I see Moby Dick, and I go, wow, Moby Dick. That's a American classic. That's something that when people read it, it's like you don't forget when you started and what age you were, and like it's a powerful book. And I go, someday I'm going to read that. And I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to do it now. I'm going to read it the best I can. I'll never be able to absorb 100%. I'll absorb as much as I possibly can.
I think I heard it's like a 20% absorption rate of
I
books.
probably absorb 2%
Right.
because I'm dumb as fuck. But because I engaged with the material, I tried very hard to focus and read and pay attention. I read it. I fucking read it. And I'm better for it because now it's not impossible. It was an impossible book for me. It was on the shelf. It was impossible. It was like, it wasn't this long. It was this long, dude. I mean, how could I ever read Moby Dick? Because I kept reading, and I read sentence that didn't make sense after sentence that didn't make sense after sentence that didn't make sense. And finally, on the 99th sentence, it was like, oh, I kind of get what he's saying, Because I waded through all that chaos, finally found some meaning. If I read it again, yeah, I'd be better for it. But because I engaged with him and with the material, which is a difficult book to read, I got value out of it. I had the mentality of, if it's not perfect, I will get no value out of it. If I do not get 100%, there's no value. Kind of like your ego thing is, you'll never be able to know yourself truly, so don't even try. I'll never be able to know Moby Dick 100%, so why even try? It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Just get in the book, write your script, paint your painting, learn mechanics, learn an engine. It's not impossible. People fucking live their whole life as a mechanic. They make their living as a mechanic. You can learn how an engine works. You can learn Spanish. There is a start and a finish and a whole bunch of stuff in between. But if you put the time in and the focus, like, it's not an impossible task. People do it every day. Moby Dick showed me that because I engaged with this very difficult book, what I thought was a very difficult book. And even now, I was thinking about it the other day. I sat with Joey Pogue, and he talked about it. He made like one comment on Moby Dick. He goes, Moby Dick, Herman Melville's Moby Dick is a allegorical allegory of America. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that means. And then as I'm mowing the lawn, I go, oh, I fucking get it. The ship, the Pequod, is full. And it even says this. It lists so many different races. African, Islander, Irish. And they're all together. And they're all dancing on the deck. And they're all singing their native tongue. That's America. That and people listening are like, duh. But I finally kind of got a grasp, like, oh, okay, that's kind of a metaphor of America. What is Moby Dick? What is Captain Ahab? That's deeper stuff that I'd have to think about more. But it was finally like, well, if I hadn't read it, none of that would make sense. It's information that's in my mind that had no meaning to it, but it's there. And then one little thing was added into the equation, and I was like, wow, okay, wow. And so profound of a feeling,
Yeah. Did you know that you have a tag sticking out of your hat
Right here?
this whole time? Is that on purpose?
No, it's a very long tag. I'll show you.
I thought it was like what the
How
kids are
long this
doing.
tag is.
Chop that thing.
Very long. No.
Yeah, there you go. Now it's hidden. But
This podcast is brought to you by Sitka.
majority of the podcast, you're going to have a tag sticking out of your hat.
Well, thankfully it's on this side, so the camera can't see it.
I'd be pretty embarrassed if I were you.
I've had my hat right up real high and far back, and it shows my bald spot. Like, it looks like I'm fucking bald. That's kind of embarrassing. I was talking to Preston the other day. He was cutting my beard. Shout out to Preston. Hey, he should come on the podcast. And I said, you know what, man? If Tucker comes back, I told him I'd probably cut my hair if he came back. I think it's time that I cut my hair. It's been 10 years of long hair, I started growing it in 2010. It's going to be 2020. I'd love Tucker to cut it. And he's like, whoa, man. And I said, well, what would you recommend as like a hairstyle? And I said, you got a good hairline. He's got fucking perfect hairline.
Oh, okay.
And I said, man, if I had a hairline like you, I'd do exactly what you do. Shave on the side, comb back on the top. I think it's so cool, that greaser look.
Classic.
Like 1920s Leonardo DiCaprio type thing. Fucking awesome. I don't have that hairline. I have it right in the middle, and then it goes back a little bit. and then down by the sides. And he goes, well, you're kind of fading on top too. And I'm like, whoa, fuck. So I said, man, we need to hurry up with stem cells because as soon as I fucking figure out how to grow hair, I'm first in line, putting it all over my ass.
I feel like as soon as I can get a decent lady hooked, I'm going back to bald, and I'm staying bald. I'm gonna wear a lot of beanies,
Yeah.
probably a lot of hats, have a decent facial hair, and then just be bald.
Well, as soon as I cut my hair, I mean, I'm getting a stripe on my blue belt because I won't be bogged down.
Oh,
by
yeah,
my
right.
hair. Dave will be like, wow, he's really improved. It's like, it's just because my hair's not getting caught all over the place.
It's gonna be hard to recognize you for a while.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to do it, but at the same time, like it's become so much part of me. But at the same time, it's like
That's like the exact reason to do it, though. Sometimes it's like, I am not my hair. It doesn't matter what I do.
Yeah, I'm afraid of looking bad too. Like, not that I look great right now, but I'm just kind of like, I like this look, you know.
I mean,
like,
going
I'm
bald
comfortable
though
with
is
it.
just like, just do it.
Yeah.
Big whoop. I'm bald.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, hell, I wear hats and beanies most of the time anyway. So.
I think the weird thing is,
I'm always fucking one girl. So I don't
the
care.
weird thing is I've always identified with my hair. You know, like that was always a.
Well, it's a very a marker of identity.
Well, I was a big guy and I had really long curly hair down to my shoulders. You know, it was
Yeah.
just like. And that
Yeah, you had
was
very unique hair.
so I was identified by that a lot, and then I cut it short or whatever. But I thought going bald would bother me more than it did, but really didn't. And I liked wearing beanies.
Part of my angst with cutting my hair is that I have a connection with Dad too. Like, I kind of like that we both have long hair and it's kind of similar looking, and there's like I feel like if I cut my hair, I'd kind of sever that connection of like.
You both show your ass crack a lot.
Do we?
Yeah,
I show mine?
yeah, more than
do?
I do. I know that much.
I do. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I always think about that. Like, if Dad had short hair or whatever, and he even told me one time, dude. He even told me one time, he's like, ugh. Bald people just make disgusting. I'm like, what? He goes, it's just disgusting. There's nothing up there. And I was like, damn, you know, now I'm really can't cut my hair because I don't want you to think that about me. But I mean, he's thinking about like cops and shit.
No, I felt
offense to
good.
cops, but
I felt good with a bald head. I enjoyed it.
yeah, I mean, it's so freeing. I just wish I had a good hairline, man. That's
You
my.
just didn't have to worry about it. Didn't worry if you were balding or if you had a bad hairline. It was just like there's nothing up there.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. It's something like hair is one of those big, not big dick things. It's kind of like one of those like superior things. Like if you have good hair, fucking guys lay it on, dude. It's like you have a big dick, you just have that big dick energy, I guess. If you have good hair, they just fucking lay that shit on. It's fucking annoying because I don't got good hair and I would if I did.
I feel like I look better with some hair on my head.
Right.
When it's like, when I keep it cut decently. Because usually I'll go from like short hair to way too long hair right back to short hair. So I have like 2 haircuts a year.
Yeah.
And I think if I would keep it like at a once a month thing or once every 2 months or something.
Right.
Like I would like to, actually probably tomorrow I'm going to try to get it done just for the wedding so I
Right.
look a little cleaner.
Right.
But I think I look better like that. So that's why I say if I can get I got to get a chick at my highest competence level, highest visually appealing level.
Right.
And then after that, I can fuck it all up.
Right.
Just kidding.
But
But
there's something to be said.
they'd be like, you already love me. You don't care how I look. All right, I'm shaving my head. You know,
There's
type
something
of
freeing about
mentality.
that.
Yeah.
But I'll argue that I actually I feel like I went too far in the other direction of not giving a shit. And it hurt me because like I wasn't being kept, whatever that word is.
Upkept.
Well kept. You know, my beard was kind of like frizzly. My hair's all like ratty. And it's like, man, this is lowering my self-esteem. This isn't like empowering me. Like, I'm not my hair. I
Right.
can look whatever I want. It was actually hurting me. And so I even text Tucker. I was like, hey, I want to start dressing better. Like, you dress good. Preston dresses good. Like, what do you do like when you go get clothes and shit? It's just something that we weren't taught.
No.
I don't think a lot of guys are taught it actually.
No.
Unless you're gay or something.
Granted, I didn't care. Shows or clothes would show up in my closet, and I just
Right.
wore what I had.
Well, mom would buy whatever's on clearance, and there was a reason it's on fucking
Well, and she'd
clearance.
buy kind of like enough, It's like
Right.
we had enough to where I wasn't searching for a new shirt. Like I have a couple I can choose from
Right.
at any given time. So
Right.
why do I all of a sudden a couple more show up for a birthday or a Christmas or something? It's just like, all right, that's a shirt I get to wear for the next 5 years.
Yeah. And there's a thing about style. Like certain styles reflect power.
Yeah, it's
And
like
confidence.
I didn't choose this. I just
Right.
I just had it,
Right.
and it was part of my options versus like I'm willing to spend money on that and
Right.
have that as a representation of me. I have a pair of shorts that I bought for that reason. Like if I buy these shorts right now,
Right.
I will be buying my favorite pair of shorts.
Oh, right.
It's like, of course I bought them.
Yeah. Which, I think we do, and a lot of people like us do. Like, we don't want to be identified or related to the things that we own or that we wear, but I think it's impossible to disconnect those two. Like, if you come in and you're wearing a Ravens hat, like you are now, you are telling me something about yourself, whether you want to or not. If you would say, I just got this hat because my mom bought it for me, I don't even watch football. I still got something from it, like I still got information about who you are one way or the other. So in that sense, yeah, you see me with AirPods, you're going to have an idea of who I am. You're going to have a thought about who I am. Can you stop it? Do I want that? Not really, but that's why you buy some of that shit. You fucking buy Nikes or whatever because you want to show people. It's huge in the outdoor world. Sitka, this hat. Sitka is the brand. Like, I had guys show up Sitka head to toe, $1,500 worth of camo, and they did that. One guy had brand new Cameron Hanes Under Armour boots, $250 boots, one a flick of dust on them. They were out of the box, and he had been hunting all season. He just bought them for status, dude. I have the money to buy them. I'm not really a hunter. I'm just buying these guided hunts because I have a ton of oil money or whatever it was. It's a thing about merchandise and materialism. It's all based on, and this is that documentary, The Century of the Self, with what's that guy's name, man? The guy that made all that shit. It's like Freud's sister. It's Century of the Self. Look it up. Great documentary. You've never seen it? You would
I don't know.
fucking love it, dude. It's called The Century of the Self, and it's basically about the birth of the marketing system, the birth of the marketing ideas or whatever. And basically what they did was they took identity psychology, ego psychology, and they paired it with materialistic things. So that when you saw the marketing for the pair of clothes or the shoes or the car or the job or whatever, they paired it with a certain type of personality. And then the people that had that personality, they drift towards a certain type of people have iPhones. It's just a thing. Like everyone I meet with an iPhone, I'm like, yeah.
McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Black people. That's
Yes.
all they have in their commercials. That's not true. But every McDonald's commercial is heavily toward a very happy and pleased black family. A very satisfied and complete family.
Yes. Well, and now, so
And then the whites, they'll bring in like two dads or something. Be like, see, we accept all of you too.
Yeah. So what you're doing is you're going to the far end of that idea. I'm starting at the genesis. You're starting at the present day and looking backwards.
Yeah.
Now they take a commercial like McDonald's, and you can take everything about it because the commercial is so planned.
Yeah.
Everything is so planned in a commercial. It's not like accidental that this
Right.
person's married to this person or whatever.
Right.
But they do that because they are marketing towards that person. So, to speak on the McDonald's, a black person watching that consciously or unconsciously sees that person and they identify with them and they say, oh, they're at McDonald's. I should go to McDonald's. Probably more unconscious than conscious, but it's the same with whatever race or sex or identity that you want to use.
Dude, there was a hair whatever growth commercial.
Right.
You got this cream and this works so well. It's like This guy's like, yeah, after my hair started coming back, I started going to the gym. I started eating healthier. It's like this hair product is selling gym time.
Lifestyle.
It's selling an entire lifestyle. Like, no. That doesn't come with it. That comes, you get maybe some hair if it works.
Right.
But like, you don't get all this other stuff that this paid actor is telling you that like, the lifestyle doesn't come with it.
Yeah.
If you want it to, I guess it can. But if you're not doing that right now, you're probably not going to do it whenever you have hair.
Well, what it's saying, subliminally is you have all these problems. This will fix it.
Yeah.
You have a procrastination problem to go to the gym. Your last 3 dates sucked ass.
All you need is just some confidence.
Yeah.
Get your hair back.
This hair will do it for you. Yeah.
Think about what you look like if you went from like how this guy looked. Look how bad he is. That's how you look right now. Look at his hair. He doesn't have any patches.
Right.
It's a full head of hair.
Right.
And he gets to cut it. I comb it. I brush it. I do everything. It's my own hair.
Which is it's actually sad because the problem is not outward, it's inward. Confidence is inward. You look at some confident guys and they are ugly as fuck.
Yeah.
They have no hair. They have tiny dicks. Whatever you want to say. That
they don't care.
They don't care. They kill. They make more money. They have more power. They succeed more in their endeavors because of this confidence or whatever. And it's because it's just an internal idea. It's an internal struggle. And that's the whole, I guess you call it the pill mentality of America. Nobody wants to lift a weight. They want to take hydroxycut.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to fucking diet. They want to take.
Don't change your lifestyle. Don't change what you're eating.
No.
Just take this little hack. Pay us part of your hard-earned salary that you cuss going to work every day. Pay us some of that effort, and then keep living the way you are and take your pill every morning.
And that happens to people that are that grow up in wealth because everything is paid for them. They go, I want to take tennis lessons. Well, then they get the best tennis teacher. They don't fucking have no skill. If you don't have any skill playing tennis, well, good luck with all the fucking money in the world. It's not going to buy it. Hard work and talent and dedication will get you what you want. But that's a price that money can't purchase.
I remember telling Jeff, our uncle, once that I wanted to be in the NFL, sometime in high school, sophomore, junior probably. I was like, NFL would be cool. It was like, it's like being anything, just dreaming big or whatever, like total long shot. But I used to think like I might be able to, like there is a chance. And sure, I guess there's a chance. But you get some of those kids, it's like it's this or the streets. It's this or back to jail. You get some of those hard dudes. Yeah, they're going to overtake me mentally. I was too pampered as a kid. I got hugged too many times. I just know that there's a life outside of this football. And this kid, it's like it's this or death.
Right.
Football is life, and I will not be overtaken or whatever.
Yeah.
I will not lose my spot. And then me is just like, I could read some books and become something in my life.
Right. Yeah. That's I heard Rogan talking about that with one of his guests about fighting. And if you're not all in fighting, like you got to get out.
It's like if you have any other options,
Yeah.
you're not going to make it because you're going to take your options.
Couldn't you say that about any endeavor? Like if you have a plan B at all, you better take plan B instead of pussyfooting around with plan A.
I don't really like that as far as like a general rule.
Sometimes
I'm sure there's application involved.
Dude, do you know about Cortez in the Spanish when they went down to South America?
They enslaved
Aztecs,
everybody.
They didn't quite do that, but they went down to South America and they were looking for gold. And they hit up Moctezuma and the fucking Aztec Empire, which was like at its peak. And there's like a couple thousand Spanish people and millions of Aztecs. But they get down there and they have some skirmishes. They fight. They win. They kind of are moving into the jungle, looking for this Aztec Empire, which has a fucking shit ton of gold. They did. They had a ton of gold, bro. And there was some, not mutinies, but there was like some doubters amongst the crew. And one day Cortez was like, burn the ships. And he burned all his ships.
Yeah.
He fucking burned all his ships. So
this.
there's no choice. He's just like, there's no choice. We go into the jungle, we find the gold, we take over the Aztec Empire, and when we prove that there is gold, the Spanish army will come back us up.
I was like, we'll build our ships like when we have the resources to go back.
He might have said that, but it was just like, he just took out, because some of the guys were like, we should go back to Spain. They actually had a ship or two loaded with gold. Like they had already come across enough jewels and shit that two or three ships were filled. And so some of the guys were like, let's go back to Spain. There's fucking mosquitoes here. It's hot. There's jaguars. There's natives. Let's go back to Spain where it's safe. And my wife is. And he's like, torch them. And he fucking sank them. So there's no choice. There's one choice to go into the jungle.
That's kind of like the...
That's like a Conor McGregor type mentality.
what's that fallacy of like, oh, look at college dropouts, Mark Zuckerberg. Like, okay.
I fell for that one.
I mean, like, yeah. But on average, we're talking statistics and like proportionally,
right,
you're going to do better off with your degree rather than if you drop out. But people will look at the anomalies. And so like, look at Cortez, and then he conquered the Aztec and he took over and all was well for him. Like, well, what about the guy who was exploring the Arctic and
did the same thing,
killed and ate his dog or something for the sake of the trip, and then he didn't make it or whatever.
Right.
So you always got to think of that too. I think everything has the exception. So
right.
sometimes maybe if your kids are involved or something, a plan B is there to be a plan B when plan A doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And then if you have kids, hopefully you got a plan C and D. And
well, specifically American culture, we love that story. We love that Conor McGregor story where he was... have you seen that documentary?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Notorious?
Yeah.
He's getting welfare checks in the mail and his water bill can't get paid. That is the American story.
Right.
That's what we all beat off to. And so that's the Cortez story. Those are the stories that we remember that get passed down. Or the people that conquered. We'd never get the losers. The people that did the same, like you said, the people that did the same actions and had a completely horrific outcome.
Did not go the way that was supposed to go.
Which is funny because it kind of plays on the idea that, the reason that we love these stories is because they don't fucking happen. You know, that's like all the movies. Like, why do we love movies? Because life ain't like a movie, bro. Life doesn't just wrap up nicely. Mm-hmm. You know, the good guy doesn't always win. Most of the time it's the opposite.
In a good movie, every scene means something.
Right.
There's a lot of shit in life that's like, it's part of your life, it's part of your development, it's part of your intake of experience.
Right.
But it doesn't matter.
Which is nice because of like horror movies. You watch Jaws and Casye Seifert thinks that he watches Jaws, he thinks I'm going to get eaten by a shark. And it's like, bro, you could swim in the ocean every day for like 5 hours for 1,000,000 years, and one day of the 1,000,000 years a shark would attack you, like statistically or whatever. But because cinema is so powerful at altering reality and the way you think, you look at the ocean and you're like, fuck, there's a shark right there.
Dude, that or even like watching a scary movie and then going to bed and then like looking in your dark closet and being like seeing this evil thing, crawl out of there. It's like that evil thing wasn't there last night.
No.
Why would it be there tonight?
Right.
Oh my God, after I watched that movie, evil came to like that evil in that movie came to my house. It is now attacking me. Like maybe sleep paralysis and DMT in a dream cycle might be that powerful as far as like, this is real. And like you actually believe it. Because how many dreams have you been in that's like, I killed a woman. I killed her, and I have to deal with the consequences now. Yeah, dude. Like stuff like that, to where it's like irreversible. Like I did this, and this is my life now. And all of a sudden, you wake up, and it's just like, I fell for that. I fell for that crap. Like that weird.
I remember I had a dream that I was in like a room, and I saw the backside of a girl, and it turned out to be D'Amica. And D'Amica turned around, she had 2 babies, and she's like, these are yours. And I fell for it. I was like, fuck, there it goes. No Cali, no filming. I got to get a job at a fucking factory. I got to sell cars. I got to do something to provide for these kids. My life was over, dude. And when I woke up, I might as well just been on a loop of orgasms. I felt so good. Like the world was brighter.
Yeah.
My breakfast tasted better. I was like, I'm going to study harder. I'm going to pursue harder. I don't have kids. I don't,
That's like the day after a dark is the brightest or whatever.
It's
like
that Fight Club scene. Raymond's breakfast will taste better than any of our breakfast.
Yeah, maybe. You're just so much more appreciative of, this is my life, not that.
I had a real life.
That could be my life.
Dude, I had a real life moment like that when Wes Davis and I were on the flight back from Cali that one time.
Oh, yeah.
And I literally made my peace with God, dude. I mean, it was
We're
fucking
going down.
I thought we were, dude. The way that this plane was reacting, I literally probably had a little bit of DMT pee out of my pineal gland. But like, I made my peace with God. I was like, God, remember me. Like, this is the end. I accepted
I'm
death.
thinking about you.
I'm accepted
I'm
death.
expecting to see you. Please show up.
Oh, bro, yeah. You become, yeah. But after we landed, like after we came out of the storm, we got down to cruising, or we got down to like altitude. So I look over the cityscape of Tulsa, and it was just like, I had that feeling that Raymond Kessel had in Fight Club. I thought, particularly Mom and I didn't have a good relationship at the time. And I was just like, I'm going to treat my mom better. I was a senior in high school. I'm like, I'm going to get serious about college. Like, it just squeegeed my third eye. Like, just everything that I had looked at before then was in a different light. And I don't know, it was extremely powerful. The price was extremely high, but the aftermath was extremely powerful and profound. That's what I think a psychedelic experience simulates in a way. It gives you a false near-death experience sometimes.
I've been watching Hot Ones.
Hot Ones?
Yeah.
Where they eat the hot wings?
Mm-hmm. It's like essentially they go on there and do drugs, and then
Yeah.
they're asked questions.
Right.
Because there's times you can tell, like, they're just high. Like, they're kind of high right now.
Right.
They don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
They're, like, kind of delusional in a way. Like, I can't hear you. I can't hear you right now. Like, they do. And it's like, I think on my next birthday, that's what I want to do, the Hot Ones challenge with some friends.
Holy shit.
Just see
Let
how
me
we
film
do.
it, dude.
Yeah, just see how we
Or we
do.
do a podcast or something.
Podcast might be fun.
Just one at a time.
Even
Why don't you just fucking eat a ghost pepper?
because I want to do the challenge.
Oh, because you work up.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You start out with like
Gotcha.
a decent wing,
Yeah.
then you go to the next one,
But
and I want to end on. I want to see if I can do
we
it.
got to get someone to like MC so they ask you questions. Because that's kind of part of it, of like asking.
Well, I mean, a podcast wouldn't be bad. We
Yeah.
talk about it, suffer, get it on film,
Oh, God, dude.
and then like, all right, everybody ready? We're moving on. Who's dropping out? Do we have more milk?
Well, what we should do is like just not tell people there's an option to drop out, but like just if you drop out, whatever, you know. But set it up in a way where there's no dropping out. Like just keep going and we'll all go. But if Corey was like, I can't do it, then you know what? Then okay.
Why do you think he would be the first to drop out?
He probably wouldn't even show up.
He wouldn't even show up to the
He'd
party.
be playing Call of Duty. Yeah, dude, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
I don't know. Sounds fun. We can do other drugs too.
That's
but
an interesting perception of that show, though. I don't think a lot of people are thinking that when they watch Hot
I
Ones.
think
I certainly wasn't.
maybe not that, but there's a few people who have applauded the idea of asking difficult questions in a vulnerable state like that, to where it's not like, hey, like if you go on JRE, there's a good chance you're gonna get high. Who knows how you're gonna respond to questions and stuff. And like Chris Ryan's story, the first time he was on is amazing. It was like,
Oh yeah,
I was already super intimidated. Then you light up a joint, and Chris said some stuff. And he's like, "Can we just restart?" And Joe's like, "It's live, bitch."
All right.
And then Joe lights up a joint, and then Chris didn't want to be like super douchey, so he accepts, And then
Right.
he said the whole time he's just holding onto the side of his chair, trying to stay upright, talking to Joe. And
Yeah.
so it's not like that, but it is. You get to the pain is so bad, you just want it to end. So answer the damn question, however you can.
Yeah.
And it's a different mindset of like the nice packaged. Oh, this movie's about a man who gives up on life and wants a second chance, and like just explains the plot of whatever they're selling, versus an insightful question, which is why the show is so popular, and a suffering guest that has to come up with
Right.
an answer to a difficult question while under extreme heat and discomfort, and is out of their normal conscious,
Yeah.
altered conscious. And if that's not what drugs do, then I don't know what drugs are.
Well, they just alter your conscious drastically, but everything really alters your conscious. Like you could argue that a boomer that wakes up in the morning and has a cup of coffee is altering his consciousness throughout his whole day, where when he comes home and he wants to watch a football game and he's tired, he's in a different conscious state.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those that we accept, you know, being tired or coffee or alcohol or whatever. But I think it's interesting that your perception on that is like difficult things, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a drug or a substance to make it difficult. That's one way. But like you could fast. I think that's why holy men fast, because it's fucking hard, and it changes your physiological state in a way, but it also is like it makes this crazy limitation upon your person, and it puts you in a different state of mind. It's like the Lakota sun dance. Like, I'm gonna take hooks, pierce them through your pecs, and we're gonna hang you there for 4 days or something, and you just hang there. Can you imagine the pain? That's going to put you in that state, similar to what you're saying with the hot wings, you know.
And it's your brain is drugs. You know, your brain equals drugs. Just a chemistry set up there.
Right.
And then you take drugs to alter the amount of drugs.
Right.
You know, like whatever amphetamine is. It's actually just releasing serotonin in your brain, you know, to like make you feel different versus, I mean, I guess there's a host of other things going on biologically within you, you know, your blood pressure and all that, but the chemicals in your brain, and that's usually why you're doing it, because you want to feel good or whatever. Usually you don't do a drug to feel bad. You do a drug to push up the chemicals, push down the chemicals, you know, change the equation in some way or another, and each drug does that, and the only reason drugs work is because you are drugs.
Yeah. You're
So
like a drug processor. You know?
right. So yeah, the beginning of the day drugs, your melatonin stops being produced, you know, and like there's you change your state of consciousness all through the day, through each second, arguably, you know, like the balances are changing, however so slightly, and when you work out, you know, that's making a whole other thing. Your physiology is like
organic drugs in a way.
Yeah.
Hormones or stuff like that. Like, I'm not always horny, but then I stopped saying that. But like, sometimes I'm hornier than others, and that's just straight hormones, you know? That's straight drugs because of whatever, I guess it would be the adrenal gland or whatever makes that hormone, testosterone or whatever, produced more that day or produced less that day. And then that kind of gets into Carl Jung. I think you should read that book. It's got a lot of psychiatry type of terms and stuff in it, but it talks about the different personalities within a human and how things like anger changes. Like, it would be a different Casey if I said something that made you mad. You would be totally different. Like, you're no longer Casey that I know. You're angry Casey. And that's based in drugs. It's based off a biological substance, you know, within your mind or within your body.
You know, then that happens, and then you bring into the equation the prefrontal cortex, and it's like angry, triggered, chemicals, prefrontal cortex, like, cool. Keeping yourself maintained and composed, even though you're feeling a range. Maybe your face is getting red, you know, like you are actually getting mad and like you're getting flushed and stuff, but you remain.
Well, see,
you have control. It's crazy.
That's the interesting thing that he talks about.
Some people don't have control.
Well, dude, that's crazy that you say that. That's exactly what he was talking about with human consciousness, with human awareness. Basically, is like these that cave people didn't have that. They just, if they got mad, they have a fucking story in there about a tribesman, and he and his son go fishing. And they fish all day and they get nothing. Their spears keep missing, or the fish falls off or whatever. Well, the tribesman gets so angry that he goes over to his son and strangles him and kills his son out of anger, and then suddenly has to reflect upon this traumatic event of killing his son. And Carl Jung is arguing that those sorts of events, those very traumatic events, are what gave rise to our consciousness, our prefrontal cortex, to be able to not do that because of how much pain it inflicted upon us because we were so reactive. And the other thing he was saying is that the human consciousness is full of dark caverns, and that it'll continue to develop. So that made me think of like, what would humans be like 200 years from now? Like, how much more aware would they be consciously than we are? Like, we'd be apes, just bumbling apes compared to perhaps whatever they figure out in the future. It was mind-blowing. I underlined that, definitely, dude. That was mind-blowing.
Kind of weird to think. That makes me think of, like, will we be a part of a future? You know, as far as, like, maybe kind of along the lines of reincarnation, but not like you die, you're back.
Yeah.
But, like, no, now it is 200,000 years. What, you know, it's 200,000, 2,000, 202,019, 200,000 years later.
Yeah.
And now you get to be a part of this or something. Like, I don't know. I feel like after you die, one, life is so unlikely in the first place that, like, I can call this skin, like, everything the skin covers, I call me, even though it's like bacteria and shit too. That is not me, but it is because it's in, you know, it's symbiotic or whatever. And I don't know if it's like a satellite, like I'm a satellite receiving a signal, and that's what's me. And then meat body goes down, and then signal hits another meat body. I don't know.
Right.
Or am I the originator? Is there the signal coming from within, and then once you die, the signal goes dark. No more Casye signal. Is it maybe we're a part, you know, everybody is living the human experience. So maybe we get a big say in this human experience, and then in other human experiences, like we're standing back. And I have, like, souls, people in me that are just standing back, and I kind of have the reins, but they get a piece or something. I don't know. I'm drunk.
That was a very interesting thought, though.
I don't know.
It makes me think of two things. One thing, it makes me think of a thought that I had about great-grandma. And then this reality, this time, this dimension, whatever you want to call it, we were interacting with her a lot when she was alive.
Our life.
Helen.
Yeah.
In our life. We were interacting with her. And then at some point, she died. And we laid her meat body in the casket. And that's in the ground. And that's been 2 decades or whatever. It's been a long time.
No.
Well, it's been a while.
Probably a decade.
Whatever. It's been a while. So now she's absent from our life, right? My thought was, how strange would it be that we interacted with her here, she's gone, and then sometime in the future, like, that way, we're going to meet her again. Like, we're going to bump into her again somehow. Like, whether it's heaven, whether it's another dimension where you die and then she shows up, whether we bring her back somehow, whatever it is, it's like, boom, you're back. Like, holy shit, there was all this time that you were gone and we didn't have you around, and now you're back. That to me was just very strange thought of, like, sometime in the future we will re-meet her.
Yeah.
The other thing was what Dad said on fucking Easter when he said, you're made up of atoms, right? In a configuration, a specific configuration of atoms that makes up Casye, right? I don't know how many, I don't know the number. It's insanely high. And then you die, and those atoms are dispersed into the universe, probably back into organic matter within the Earth. At some point in the future, because in an infinite timeline, all things are possible.
And be reassembled.
Reassembled. That was the first time that afterlife made sense to me in a biological, scientific way. Of course, Dad drops this off in fucking Easter, and I'm trying to eat my ham, and I'm like, just weighed down by this thought of, like, holy shit, why did you just throw that up on me? But yeah, in an endless timeline, I'm sure you've heard of this. Like, if you have infinite amount of time, a chimpanzee banging on a typewriter will write out Shakespeare. What do you think about that?
Depends, I guess, if you have, like, parallel universes. Because eventually this chimp's going to die. You know.
It's a thought. It's a thought. It's a thought.
It's like
experiment.
It's like I get it, but there would have to be, if you're talking about the same chimp, and you can consider the chimp the same in, you know, like in a parallel universe, is that still Casye in the parallel? Mm-hmm. Should be, right? So if it's the same chimp in infinite parallels, then are you saying the actions of its life leading up to typewriting will be so different and so vast that eventually, randomly, it will type Shakespeare because it's infinite?
What was your question? I'm just thinking that, okay, just a thought experiment. You just get this random chimp that lives forever. It's not dying.
There we go.
It's not
Okay.
dying. You have a typewriter that
We've tried to kill it. We can't kill it. We will experiment on
Make
it.
it type out. Make it bang on this typewriter. It will not die. The typewriter that it's banging on does not run out of ink or however a typewriter works, and it does not run out of paper.
I guess we can say computer.
Computer, whatever it is. On an infinite timeline, like infinitely, like that thought right there makes you kind of want to throw up, but at some point, his fingers will hit the right keys to write out Shakespeare.
If you don't have the like the puking reaction to thinking of infinite, then you're not thinking.
You didn't grasp
yeah,
it.
you're right.
You didn't like poke your head.
It went over your head.
Right. Or you just didn't engage with it.
Right.
You engage with it, you should kind of feel a little dizzy.
You get infinite and you understand the meaning of like, okay, endless. And then you move on instead of, like you said, like poking your head and be like, what's down? No, nothing and everything.
It's that mandala behind you, dude. That's
Yeah.
what the room looks like. You poke your head in and god damn. But what I was thinking of is this chimp is banging on the laptop or whatever. How many times does he write Shakespeare but misses one letter?
Right.
Holy shit. Oh, did you participate in the Pokemon experiment where thousands of people around the world played Pokemon at the same time?
I was kind of late to the game.
Okay. So I participated in it. I mean, I played. I don't know if I influenced it or whatever. But you know how it went, right?
Crashed. There was way too many people on the server.
Well, they beat it.
Which I thought Pokemon Go.
I don't know what it was called. I'll just explain it for the listeners too. So there was this Game Boy. What do they call that? Game Boy.
XP Advance.
No, it was a simulator. Game Boy simulator
on a phone.
On the internet.
Oh, on the internet.
So people would log in, and everyone could press the same button, or press a button, no matter where they were in the world, as long as they were logged in. So at one point, 77,000 people were playing the same Pokemon game, and if you watch the video, the character would just spin around and start, and it was unbelievable. To wrap it all up very quickly, they beat the game.
Good Lord.
So let me show you some of this footage.
Dude, how long did it take?
Weeks. It took weeks.
I'm surprised not years.
Well, isn't that fascinating that it didn't take years?
Yeah.
They caught Pokemon, they trained Pokemon, they beat trainers, they beat the game. Like, how in the fuck? And this character would just spin and start button, and they would drop shit. So what actually happened was there was 2 or 3 factions. There was like the faction that wanted to beat the game, which is weird, dark and light and evil and shit. And there was the faction that wanted to ruin the game.
Just trolls.
So the trolls would try to drop valuable items, and they would scare Pokemon away or whatever. And the good people would try to beat the game accordingly.
No, I would. My hypothesis would be that this game will last eternity. They will never finish.
Dude, it didn't. It was.
That's crazy.
Let me see if I can find it. Entertain the folks while I try to find this.
Yeah, I had some stuff up my sleeve to talk about, but
Bring it up.
well, I don't know. They crawled up my sleeve farther. Not really sure where they are, and
It's called. So this event was called Twitch Plays Pokemon.
the wine has taken effect.
So watch this. Let's see if I can find like a.
Maybe now you'll agree. Drinking has its benefits.
So this is a 17-minute video, so I can't watch it, but let me see if it'll just bring up some footage of it.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Patrick here, and this is all the way through to day 6. Did obviously beat Brock. After acquiring our first gym badge, the stream, more commonly referred to as...
Let's see. I'm definitely watching this after the podcast.
Fortunately, we...
I want to show you just a little bit of screen, a little bit of...
Zapdos! Abaj! Who's paralyzed in that 74. Oh my, there was some gameplay there.
Let me see.
One day.
Dude, that music. So see all these people? I'm going to turn this music up. All these people are putting in a command.
Right up.
And so he has to abide by all these commands, one by one.
One by one.
See these? See that? So when it got to its ultra potential, see how it gets faster? When it caught mainstream and 7,000 people were playing at once, it was chaos, dude. But they beat it. We beat it. I was part of that. He's still in Pallet Town at this point.
Oh my god.
But I mean, he literally was spinning and the menu would come up.
Well, it's not like he's moving anywhere.
See how he's spinning like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's moving anywhere right now.
No, they beat it, dude.
Like he's just take a step back. Here we go. We got a fight.
Watch a fight. I mean, a fight would be, people would the trolls would run.
Yeah.
Or they'd try to leer him or something. So you got a Pidgeotto. Uh-oh. Let me check something real quick. Okay, we're good. Was blown away.
Oh, wow.
See, this is actually a little bit more control, and I think that's because it's part one. This was like when the experiment was just getting started. It was still in that stage of like, yeah, it's pretty much in control. We're going in the right direction of the gameplay. But dude, like I said, when the media caught on and people flocked to it, it was unreal, bro. Unreal. Anyway. And they did it with multiple games. This is Crystal. They did it with Crystal. They did it with Red. They did it with, and they beat them all, dude. They beat them all.
There's too many people in this world.
We need a new plague. Oh, that music, man, so good.
There is enough people that care enough to try and finish.
I think that way about TikTok. Like when I watch TikTok, I'm like, I know what it takes to make a TikTok video. It's not easy. It takes a considerable amount of time. And when I say considerable, I mean like it's about 10 minutes minimum to make one video. For social media that someone's going to watch in 30 seconds takes 10 minutes to make, insanely amount of valuable time down the drain. But some of those damn TikTok videos are so good. But I think, dude, how much time did you spend? You changed clothes. You changed your hair. Like how much time did that take to make that actual video? And then I think there are people that wake up and this is all they do all day.
Yeah,
are they young? Yeah, they're young.
Arc just happens to be fun enough that I allow it. Versus, it's the same thing. It's you're, what's a video game? You're controlling an avatar, we'll say, of some sort. It can be a car, a person, an animal, whatever the game is, and it's not you. And yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
So I had a crazy. I was very, very stoned at one point in the past when I was out of town, and I had this thought of like, you know how video games, like if you start taking things away, they're like layers upon the world, right? So essentially, specifically with Ark, when you're flying on a Pteranodon, it's doing this. It's just doing that. If you just take everything away and you just have a black background, the Pteranodon's just doing this. Mm-hmm. The thing that makes it look like it's moving is that the world is moving past it. The character does not move because the camera doesn't move. So it gives you that feeling of like, it's just moving. Well, I kind of got stuck in that to where this reality, like I was doing the motions, but wasn't moving. Like I have never moved in my whole life. I'm just stuck in this position, but the world around me moves.
Have you seen the one
changes.
Of like the open world? There's a split screen and half of it is like this open world. And it's kind of like blank, like it's white. Maybe like the sand is rendered, but none of the trees are. And then you see gameplay of this girl, and it's kind of like this older video game. Almost looks like an old Tomb Raider or something. Mm-hmm. But when she's running, her view is like trees and bushes and rocks, and then she looks over here and there's more. And then in the open view on the other side is like pulled back, and you can see the full picture, and you can see as she turns, it's like a V of vision that renders.
Yeah.
And then she looks back, and then now the trees behind her are gone, and then she, like wherever she's looking is where things are.
Right.
So yeah, like you're walking around somewhere, and like everything behind you, there's nothing. It's like there's nothing behind you until you look, until it processes, and it knows quantum shit. It knows you're looking at it, so it's going to exist. And then whenever you turn away, it doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
I don't know if that's real, but yeah, it's really easy to get a brain loop and start experiencing that, you know?
Right. Well, I don't know if it exists or not either, but from what I've heard from people talk about quantum physics and quantum world, that's exactly what they're saying, is that things are in a super state of existence and non-existence until you look at it.
Until it's, yeah.
Schrodinger's cat hole thing.
Until it's perceived. It doesn't
What in the
exist.
fuck?
Yeah, it's like, whoa.
That's where Alex Hill and I were talking the other night at a Halloween party, and he said he was talking to his son in the back seat, and he said, while they're driving, and he said, the sun is bigger than the earth. And his son, oh God.
Beckham.
I was going to call him Graham. Yeah, Beckham looks out the window and goes, what the heck? And and Alex said, what the heck for him is like, what the fuck for us? Like, what the fuck? And he
Yeah.
goes, what the heck? And it was funny because he was saying he was driving. He was going, what the fuck? Yeah, the sun bigger than the earth? Whoa. You know, he was kind of tripping, trying to tell his son about
Yeah.
this thing. But that's how I feel. I feel that what the heck moment when we get on the edge of stuff like that. And as far as, so I have these beliefs down here inside of me of like, I got Christian beliefs because they were installed in me. So I have like this idea of heaven, of God, of control, of death. I have all these kind of ideas here. But you get out to the very edge of consciousness and understanding, and they just fall apart, dude. They do not withstand simulation theory, endless universe, what you just said as far as things existing and not existing. Like, when you get to that edge, everything just falls apart for the human in me. Like, it just don't make sense. Kind of makes me sick. Which is why I think religion is somewhat popular, because it's such a, for me in particular, it's so much of a comforting thought of like, if I die, I'm still here. This Middle Eastern man is going to wake me up and he's going to show me paradise. And I know that's, you know, whatever, that's kind of children's church type thought, but rendered it down basically to that, you know, like if a lion is eating my dick, I'm going to be thinking that thought, like, please remember me. Like, I don't want to just go off into the darkness, even if you don't have a choice. But yeah, you get to the edge of that kind of stuff, it just slowly breaks down. Simulation, that whole idea, that's like, whoa.
Yeah, I feel like the older I get, the more afraid of death I am. So I thought it would be the opposite. Mm-hmm. But like, as a youngin', not really. I'm more nihilistic than I am now, you know, like nothing matters, who cares? Really never like the thought of death. Some people like can't even think about it. It's like I poked it and prodded it and like tried to upset it, and it never really bothered me. And then I kind of had maybe a plane moment like you did when I was house sitting at the Crams and that tornado was coming through, and I was like, it's going to hit. Like, it's going to hit this house, and people around here have died from tornadoes, and I think I'm right in the path, hearing the thunder and stuff, and it's just like, that was pretty scary because I knew my life was on the line. And then now even kind of thinking about it, it's just like, why is this like upsetting me? And it's kind of like because I'm trying to live for a purpose, so I have something to lose. Like, wait, I didn't achieve my goal or whatever. Yeah. Versus not having no goal, not caring, not having an impact. Oh, my friends will miss me, my parents will miss me, you know, whatever. And now it's like when you're trying to have a reach, make a statement, and build a community. Because that's why I like meeting people, is like I get to extend my community. And now I got this guy in my community that, you know, hopefully reciprocal altruism remains true, and I'll help him as much as I can. And when the time comes, he can help me, and then we can advance each other's agendas.
Yeah, I've heard Jordan Peterson say this before. I don't know if it's his quote or not, but I've heard him say it. It's like, either nothing matters or everything matters. Like, you can't have one or the other, where some things matter and some things don't. It's either nothing matters, cynical view of the world, like stardust all over, or everything matters. What you say, what you do, who you talk to, all of it matters.
That's kind of like those daily disciplines of like, I'll get the dishes tomorrow. Like that matters.
Yeah.
It matters if you go to bed and those dishes aren't done. It seems trivial, whatever, you know, like it matters. However, so slightly, maybe it doesn't matter that much. It matters. There's an impact made.
Yeah.
There's a difference between had you done what you should have done versus whatever you did in reality, and that will affect your continuing reality.
I have a question for you. What do you think about synchronicity? Have you looked into any of that, or?
Not really.
So I kind of thought it was hogwash, and then it happened to me a couple times, and I'm like,
I think it's Hogwarts is what they say.
Hogwarts? You're not even a Harry Potter
Just
fan,
kidding.
dude.
Just
You need
kidding.
to read the books.
I hope some people crawled on their skin.
Hogwarts. But I kind of thought it was Hogwarts for a long time, and then it happened to me, and then I was kind of like, oh, that was interesting. Like, I think that's what they call synchronicity. That's
a good one.
usually like hippie type stuff, hippie talk or whatever. Well, then fucking last night when I was looking at Carl Jung quotes, he had a quote about synchronicity, and it was like, synchronicity is there for people that can see it. And it was like, oh, fuck.
Jeez.
Crap, Carl, why? But so to define synchronicity is just kind of things that are connecting throughout your life. Whether it's like, I think synchronicity could be defined on one level as far as like, I was thinking about Jason today, and then he called me.
No, there's there needs to be a word for that, and I
think it's called synchronicity. I think
thought
that's like
this
the
for
lower
years.
end synchronicity.
Okay, I'm thinking. Easy example is you have a dream of somebody, and then they text you or something,
Right.
or you see them at Walmart. It's just like maybe a movie. I don't know, like
Right.
something that comes out of the blue that like is not a normal daily thing. Usually like a person's name or something, and then you see them, and then the word happens or something. It's just like, how can that coincidence happen 2 times in one day?
Yeah, right.
There should be a word for that.
I think it's synchronicity.
Okay.
I think that's the lower end. Like that's the stuff that doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
like,
it's
whoa,
just
that's
weird.
interesting.
Yeah, it's just weird.
But on the higher end of synchronicity, the one that the events that have meaning, I think it's similar to the quote that you said earlier. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I think that's kind of what synchronicity is. It's like if you're paying attention, the universe or God or whatever you want to call it kind of like starts to do things, and you're like, if you, like Carl said, if you can see the synchronicity, you'll see it everywhere. And it kind of happened. Like I said, it kind of happened to me a few times. Like I'd watch a documentary, and the thing that I had journaled about is exactly like it happened today. I was listening to Jordan Peterson podcast. Man, what did he talk about? He talked about truth. He talked about truth, and lately I've been writing very truthful. Like, if anyone found my writing, I would be very embarrassed because I'm being so open and honest and truthful with myself. But ironically, what it has done, it has unshackled me inside and allowed for certain things to be exercised from my soul and freed me up in ways to explore and to become more of who I am. Now, would everyone understand that? Probably not. But that's what it's done to me. And then his podcast is called On the Topic of Truth. And it's talking about his book, chapter Speak the Truth or at least Don't Lie. His rule 8 or something. And it was like, how is this? It's a simple connection, but it's like, that's what I needed. Why? How did that build in that way? Where it just could have been a podcast. It could have just been Jordan Peterson on gender pronouns, and I would have listened to it, but it wouldn't have the potential, the power that this one did.
It's kind of like your Moby Dick thing of like, you can pick it up and like do it, read it, take it for what it's worth kind of thing. Or you can go to college, you can study philosophy, you can understand all these underlying meanings and then read it. And like, I don't know where the analogy is there, but like, you're just way more prepared. And if you're more prepared, you're going to get more out of it.
Yeah.
Versus if you're unprepared and somebody delivers you an opportunity or something and you're just like,
right.
You don't recognize it.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't think that's for me. Like, no, that's like, that's your calling. Or, you know, like that's what you're supposed to be doing. And you say no to it because you're unprepared. So be prepared as possible. It's so easy to say, you know, it's like, it's the easiest to give advice. It's the hardest to take it.
There's a book called The Shack. Have you ever read The Shack? It's a Christian book, but it's actually worth the read. I actually enjoyed it. I think it's a true story. I think actually there's a Chris Pine movie that he played the character. But the story is that his daughter like somehow got kidnapped, taken up to this shack, raped and killed. Like pretty gruesome. And so the story is the father coming to terms with that. And he goes up to this shack and he has like all these ill intentions of like, I think he's going to kill himself. And basically God or this like shamanic character or God or whoever like appears to him in 3 forms, which is like Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost type thing. And I think there's one character that's like an old black woman and I don't remember exactly. And then he kind of goes to this ghosts of history past or whatever that's called, where like it's taken to different things and he meets different people that teach him lessons. The very last one is a warehouse. He gets taken to this warehouse, and it was potent when I read it. But he gets taken to this warehouse, and there's like stacks of paper and these trinkets and all these things. And he asked this ghost or spirit or whatever you want to call it that took him there. He's like, "What is this place?" And he's like, "This is the place of untapped potential, broken dreams, things that people gave up on." And like I think he picks up a piece of paper that's like cure for cancer, and there's just things like that where people were so close and they gave in, and then they're like, well, or maybe it was like a place where blessings go that people didn't accept, or I don't know, something like that. But man, it was powerful because you think like, what have I put in that fucking warehouse?
Yeah,
that I could have accomplished, that I could have undergone, that I could have done. But because I was too weak or too scared or too immature, I placed in this warehouse for all eternity. It was a powerful part of that book.
Yeah. Sounds like a good one.
It was. It's an easy read, too. It's very short, but it was a fun read. It was good. I think the movie would probably be shit, but maybe it's not.
Surely.
Maybe it's not. I don't know.
Yep.
You want to wrap this up?
Yeah.
I think Kelsey's got dinner. She made some Thai food. Anyway. Well, dude.
About, I don't know, a lot of wine sloshing around inside
It's
of
all
me.
right. You didn't have any coffee. I had a good shot of coffee. Well, dude, thanks for coming on. Always
Thanks
enjoy
for
it.
having me.
I think, and you don't have to answer, but like I want to do once a week. But if I can't get a guest, just to get a rep in, if you would come down and do a podcast with me, just like sit for 2 hours just to get that episode in. Even if Sci-Fi and Friends becomes 50% KC episodes, as long as we're getting the reps in, because I always like to do a podcast with a person I'm very comfortable with, you, a friend or something, before I ask someone that I'm kind of nervous about, like Dr. Harry's or something, because I feel more confident. I'm like, well, I just did one. It went fine. If I had someone like him on, then I feel more confident. So anyway, but something to think about.
I kind of always wanted to explore subjects to where this is very free form. Whatever comes up is what we'll talk about versus like this episode we talk about, relevant subject matter,
Right.
to where you can kind of put a label on it. I don't know if we couldn't do 2.5 hours on it, but
No, but I would do that if you help me produce it. Like if you picked the subject and got the persons there, like I would help get it generated and created. I just don't have time to kind of like pick a subject and research it. But if someone brought it to me, yeah, I could do it.
I don't have a ton of time either. But yeah, it would be nice to get some more out.
Yeah. So, but always appreciate you coming on. Always a good time. Chad.
Yep. Thanks for having me. It's always fun. Go follow me on social. It's just my first and last name. You'll find me. Thanks for listening.
What is your first and last name?
Tom
Hardy.
Lakeford.
Lakeford. Well, Mr. Lakeford, it's been a pleasure. Anyway, everyone, thanks for listening. Like I said, I don't know. I'm going to try to do these once a week. They're tough, man. I tweeted today that a 2-hour, 3-hour podcast really equals 4 to 6 hours of editing. And that's really the thing. I could do these 3 times a week if I had a Jamie that took care of that post, because that post is so tough. That's what really generates all the headache. The recording's fun. It's stimulating. I usually have a hard time going to bed because I'm still so buzzed off of chatting with people, but the editing part. But anyway, not to bitch at you or whatever. We'll figure it out. We'll get it out. We'll get it balanced. We'll get it figured out. Yeah, so check out the website, coltoncipher.com, the blog, all the Sci-Fi and Friends podcasts are on there, the video. Follow us on Stitcher, Apple iTunes podcasts, all that kind of good stuff. I think I'm on Podbean too. Check out the YouTube channel, Infinite Productions, got all that good stuff. Yeah, another podcast. So anyway, everybody, thanks for listening. Jerry Epstein did not kill himself. Have a great week. Peace.
When it rains, it pours. Water's up to my chin. Won't stop fighting to the very end. Many men try to reach it. Many men have failed. Well, if you wanna get to heaven, you gotta raise a little hell. And I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. Facing all the sleepless nights. Will you find me? Hope you find me. I'll be back home soon when the sun rises.